Vader's meditation chamber opens with a hiss of depressurizing air. The hemispheric shell splits apart, revealing the figure inside. Black armor gleams under the red emergency lighting of the executor's command tower. The respirator cycles. In, out, in, out. The mechanical rhythm that has defined his existence for over 2 decades. He doesn't move immediately. His mind is still on Cloud City, still hearing his son's voice. I'll never join you. Still watching Luke choose death over the dark side. Still feeling the weight of that rejection like a blade through whatever remains of his heart. The boy fell, chose to fall rather than take his father's hand. Vader's fists clench on the armrests of his meditation pod. The leather creaks. Durasteel groans under pressure that should require hydraulics. The force flows through him like acid in his veins. Raw, unfocused, bleeding into the space around him until the air itself feels heavy. 23 years. 23 years of service to the Emperor. 23 years of crushing rebellions and hunting Jedi and enforcing order across a galaxy that fears his name. And for what? His son hates him, the one person in the universe who might have understood, who might have stood beside him, who carried Padmé's eyes and Anakin's potential. Gone. Fallen into the clouds of Bespin rather than accept what Vader offered. The respirator hisses louder. His breathing accelerates. The pod's interior lights flicker as electricity arcs between his gloved fingers. Unconscious, uncontrolled, the dark side responding to rage that has nowhere to go. He should report to the Emperor. Palpatine will want to know everything about Cloud City, about Luke's power, about the failure to turn him. The conversation will be unpleasant. The Emperor's disappointment will manifest in subtle ways. A mission to the Outer Rim, a pointed reminder of Vader's place in the hierarchy, the slow erosion of whatever autonomy he's managed to carve out. Vader doesn't move. Something is wrong. Not with the ship, not with his suit. Something deeper, something in the Force itself feels different, shifted, like a weight redistributed across a structure that was barely holding. He extends his senses outward, through the walls of the meditation chamber, through the corridors of the executor, through the vacuum of space beyond. He feels the crew, thousands of souls moving through their duties, officers on the bridge, stormtroopers in barracks, engineers in the reactor core, all of them bound together in the machine of Imperial power. And beneath it all, he feels something else, a presence, vast and cold and patient. The Emperor's consciousness, light years away on Coruscant, touching the edges of Vader's mind through the Force, checking, monitoring, ensuring his apprentice remains leashed. The intrusion is familiar. Palpatine does this constantly, a reminder that privacy is an illusion, that even in his meditation chamber, Vader is never truly alone. But tonight, it feels different. Tonight, Vader doesn't flinch away from the touch. He doesn't reinforce his mental shields or redirect his thoughts to safe topics. Instead, he pushes back, gently, carefully, testing the boundaries of that presence like a prisoner testing the bars of his cell. The Emperor's attention sharpens, curious, suspicious. Vader withdraws immediately, smooths his thoughts into the familiar patterns of obedience and self-loathing that Palpatine expects. The dark side lord's interest fades. The presence recedes. Satisfied that his apprentice is still broken exactly as required, but in that moment of contact, Vader felt something. Fear. Not his own. The Emperor's. Buried deep beneath layers of Sith confidence and political control and raw dark side power. A tiny seed of concern that has been growing since Cloud City, since the emergence of Luke Skywalker, since the discovery that Vader has a son who is strong in the Force and represents everything Palpatine has worked to prevent. A replacement, the word crystallizes in Vader's mind with perfect clarity. Palpatine doesn't want Luke turned to help Vader rule. He wants Luke turned to replace Vader, the same way Vader replaced Dooku, the same way every Sith apprentice eventually replaces their master. The rule of two isn't partnership. It's a countdown timer, and Vader's time is running out. He's known this for years, suspected it, felt it in the Emperor's tone when discussing the boy. But knowing intellectually and feeling it confirmed through the Force are different things. His son will be turned or killed. Either outcome serves Palpatine, and Vader will be discarded, too damaged, too limited by the suit, too conflicted by the blood connection to be useful once Luke is secured. The respirator cycles, in, out, in, out. For 23 years, this rhythm has been his anchor. The sound that reminds him he's alive even when he wishes he wasn't. The proof that Palpatine saved him on Mustafar. That his master gave him purpose when Anakin Skywalker died. But Anakin Skywalker didn't die on Mustafar. That's the lie he's told himself. The fiction that makes service bearable. That separates the monster in the armor from the boy who wanted to free slaves and loved a queen and believed the Jedi could be better. Anakin Skywalker is standing in this meditation chamber right now, breathing through a vocabulator, staring at his reflection in the black durasteel walls, recognizing that everything he's done for 2 decades has been in service to the man who orchestrated Padmé's death. The Emperor didn't save him. The Emperor created him, groomed him, manipulated him into becoming exactly the weapon required. And now that weapon has fulfilled its purpose and will be retired. Unless the thought comes unbidden, dangerous, treasonous, unless Vader moves first. He stands. The meditation pod wasn't designed for this. He's supposed to exit slowly, give his suit time to adjust to full gravity and movement after deep meditation. Instead, he rises in one smooth motion. Servos whine. Hydraulics compensate. The cybernetic legs that end at mid-thigh support his weight without tremor. He walks to the chamber's terminal, a simple console, minimal functions, communications, ship status, nothing that would compromise security if accessed during vulnerable meditation. His gloved fingers move across the interface, slowly, deliberately, accessing subsystems that most crew members don't know exist, pulling files that require command-level clearance and specific override codes that only the Emperor's enforcer would possess. The screen floods with text, military protocols, emergency directives, contingency orders buried in the clone army's original programming and adapted for the Stormtrooper Corps. He scrolls through them. Order 37, capture of a senior government official. Order 65, in the event of either I, a majority in the Senate declaring the Supreme Commander, Chancellor, to be unfit to issue orders, or i.e. the Security Council declaring him to be unfit to issue orders, and an authenticated order being received by the GAR, commanders shall be authorized to detain the Supreme Commander, with lethal force if necessary. Order 65. Vader stares at the screen. The words blur slightly as his vocabulator releases a breath he didn't realize he was holding. The protocol was designed for the Old Republic, for the Clone Wars, a safeguard against a corrupted Chancellor. It was never meant to survive the transition to Empire, never meant to be relevant once Palpatine dissolved the Senate's real power and consolidated control. But it's still here, still in the books, still technically valid if the proper authentication exists. And Vader has authentication. He's the Supreme Commander of the Imperial forces, second only to the Emperor himself. His authority is absolute in military matters. His codes can access any system, activate any protocol, override any safeguard. He could execute Order 65 right now, this moment. Send the command to every Star Destroyer, every garrison, every outpost in the Empire. Declare the Emperor unfit. Authorize his detention with lethal force if necessary. The Empire would tear itself apart. Loyalists versus conspirators. Fleet against fleet. World against world. Billions would die in the Civil War. The galaxy would burn. And Vader would be responsible for all of it. His hand hovers over the console. One command, one transmission, one decision that would change everything. The respirator cycles. In, out, in, out. He thinks of Luke, falling through the clouds, choosing death over darkness. His son has more courage in that single choice than Vader has shown in 23 years of service. He thinks of Padmé, her last words, "There is still good in you." She died believing that. Died hoping that somewhere beneath the armor and the hate and the dark side corruption, Anakin Skywalker still existed. He thinks of Obi-Wan, the lies about Anakin's death, the truth that his former master hid Luke on Tatooine for 19 years, protected him, trained him, gave him the chance to become something better than his father. Everyone he's ever loved believed he could be saved. Everyone except himself, the console screen reflects in his mask's lenses. Order 65 displayed in white text against black background. A way out. A path to redemption or destruction. He can't tell which. Maybe both. He deactivates the console. Not yet. He needs to think. Needs to plan. Executing Order 65 isn't just pushing a button. It's declaring war on the most dangerous Sith Lord in galactic history. It's betting everything that the military will follow him instead of Palpatine. It's accepting that even if he wins, he'll be responsible for the chaos that follows. But the seed is planted. For the first time in 23 years, Darth Vader considers the possibility that his master can be killed. The meditation chamber seals behind him. He walks through the corridors of the Executor toward the bridge. Officers salute as he passes. Stormtroopers stand at attention. Everyone fears him. Everyone obeys him. But do they serve him? Or do they serve the Emperor? That's the question he needs to answer before making any move. The bridge doors open. Admiral Piet turns, his face carefully neutral. Lord Vader, we've received new orders from Coruscant. The Emperor wishes to speak with you at your earliest convenience. Of course he does. Vader stares out at the stars beyond the viewport. Somewhere out there, Luke is alive. Recovering. Being hidden by the rebellion that Vader has spent years trying to destroy. Somewhere on Coruscant, Palpatine is planning how to turn or kill that boy. And here, on the bridge of the Executor, Darth Vader makes a choice that will echo across the galaxy. Inform the Emperor I will contact him within the hour, he says. His voice is mechanical, emotionless. Perfect. Piet bows. Yes, my lord. He has 1 hour to decide if he's going to remain a slave forever or risk everything on a single desperate gamble. The respirator cycles. In. Out. The choice is already made. He just has to accept it. Vader's private quarters occupy a sealed section of the Executor's command tower. 3 rooms. Meditation chamber, armory, surgical bay, no windows, no decoration. Nothing that suggests a person lives here instead of a machine maintaining itself between deployments. He seals the door behind him. The lock engages with a magnetic clamp that could withstand a thermal detonator. The walls are lined with sensor-dampening material, a precaution against surveillance. Even the Emperor's reach has limits when confronted with enough durasteel and paranoia. The surgical bay dominates the main room, a vertical slab where his armor can be removed and maintained. Mechanical arms hang from the ceiling, each one tipped with tools designed for a body that is more cybernetic than organic. Diagnostic screens line one wall, currently dark, currently silent. Vader approaches the central console, not the surgical terminal, a secondary system built into the wall behind a panel that looks like part of the structural plating. He presses his palm against a specific section. The metal is warm. Body temperature. It reads the electrical signature of his glove and accepts it. The panel slides open. Inside is a data terminal, isolated from the ship's main network. No wireless connections, no remote access. Information goes in through physical storage devices, or it doesn't go in at all. The kind of security that intelligence agencies use when paranoia is justified. He built this himself. Years ago, back when he first started questioning whether the Emperor's surveillance was protection or imprisonment. The screen activates. No Imperial logo, no startup sequence, just a command line waiting for input. Vader interfaces his gauntlet directly with the terminal. A cable extends from his wrist mount into the port. The connection is instant. His suit's internal computer links with the isolated system. Information flows both ways. He pulls up every file he's accumulated on military protocols, not the official documents, the original source code, the deep programming that governs how clone troopers and their stormtrooper successors process orders, the behavioral modification architecture that makes them perfect soldiers. Order 65 appears on screen, the full text, not the sanitized version in public records. The actual implementation details. The protocol was written by the Kaminoans, commissioned by Jedi Master Sifo Dyas, and then corrupted by Dooku and Palpatine for their own purposes. But the original safeguards remained buried in the code, including Order 65. Execute if the Senate declares the Chancellor unfit. Execute if the Security Council declares the Chancellor unfit. The Senate no longer exists as anything but theater. The Security Council was dissolved when Palpatine declared himself Emperor. But the code doesn't know that. The code only knows that specific authentication signatures can activate specific responses. Vader has those signatures. He pulls up the authentication requirements. 2 paths: Senate majority or Security Council consensus. Both require validated command codes and biometric verification from multiple sources to prevent abuse. The Senate path is impossible. Most senators are puppets, or too terrified to oppose Palpatine openly. Getting a majority to sign a declaration of unfitness would require either mass insanity or evidence so damning that the entire empire would fracture regardless of what Vader does. The Security Council path is different. The council was composed of 12 members, high-ranking military officials, and Moffs with enough authority to check the Chancellor's power in theory. In practice, Palpatine controlled all of them. But when he dissolved the council, he didn't delete their authentication codes from Imperial systems. An oversight, or perhaps arrogance. The Emperor never believed anyone would dare use them. 8 of the 12 are dead, executed for various failures over the years. 3 others are loyalists who would report any treasonous contact immediately. The 12th is Grand Moff Tarkin. Vader stares at the name on the screen, Wilhuff Tarkin, Governor of the Outer Rim Territories, commander of the Death Star before a farm boy from Tatooine destroyed it, one of the few Imperial officers who treats Vader as an equal rather than a monster to be feared. Tarkin is pragmatic, ruthless, loyal to the Empire itself rather than to Palpatine personally. He's made that distinction clear in private conversations. The Emperor is a means to an end, a tool for maintaining order. If that tool becomes a liability, it can be replaced. Would he support Order 65? Vader runs the calculation. Tarkin values stability above all else. The Empire's strength comes from unified command and overwhelming force. A protocol that pits the military against the Emperor threatens both. But Tarkin also understands capability replacement. He built his career on recognizing when assets become liabilities, when systems need to be purged and rebuilt. He executed entire planetary governments for inefficiency. If Vader can prove the Emperor is the liability, that Palpatine's obsession with Luke endangers Imperial stability, that the Sith's plan to replace his apprentice will trigger succession conflicts that fracture military cohesion, then maybe Tarkin would listen. The door chime sounds. 3 short tones. An incoming communication request on the private channel reserved for the Emperor. Vader doesn't respond immediately. He closes the hidden terminal. The panel slides back into place, indistinguishable from the surrounding wall. He walks to the main console, the one connected to ship communications. The screen shows a priority transmission code. Coruscant, Imperial Palace, the Emperor's private office. 1 hour. He told Piet 1 hour before contacting Palpatine. 53 minutes have passed. He accepts the transmission. The holographic projector activates. Blue light coalesces into the Emperor's form. Hooded, hunched, the face hidden in shadow except for yellow eyes that burn with dark side energy. Lord Vader, the voice is silk over broken glass. Gentle and menacing simultaneously. You've kept me waiting. I was meditating, my master. The lie comes easily. 23 years of practice, processing the events on Cloud City. Ah yes, Cloud City. Palpatine's tone shifts. Curious, hungry. Tell me about the boy. Was he as powerful as we anticipated? Vader's respirator cycles. In, out, buying time to choose his words carefully. He is strong in the Force, untrained but instinctive. He survived our duel longer than expected, and his response to your revelation, that you are his father, he rejected me, chose to fall rather than join us. The Emperor's laugh is dry, amused, predictable. The boy has Jedi conditioning, Kenobi's influence, but this is merely his first test. There will be others. What would you have me do? Continue your pursuit. The rebellion will shelter him. Use that, hunt his friends. Destroy their bases. Apply pressure until he's forced to confront you again. And when he does, his anger will make him vulnerable. His attachments will become weapons we can use against him. Vader listens, studies the hologram's body language, the way Palpatine leans forward when discussing Luke, the eagerness in his voice, the dark side energy that intensifies around the Emperor's projection whenever he mentions the boy's potential. This isn't about turning Luke to help Vader rule. This is about acquisition. Palpatine wants a new apprentice. Younger, undamaged, easier to control. And if he cannot be turned, Vader asks, the question is dangerous. It implies doubt, weakness. The Emperor's eyes narrow. Then he will be destroyed, as will anyone who stands with him. But I sense your conflict, Lord Vader. The boy's bloodline calls to you. The remnants of Anakin Skywalker weaken your resolve. No, my master, I am committed to our purpose. Are you? Palpatine's projection moves closer. The hologram can't actually approach. It's a trick of scale and positioning, but the effect is claustrophobic anyway. I felt your presence earlier, testing the boundaries of our bond, pushing against my awareness. Why? The question is a trap. Vader recognizes the tone. The Emperor knows something, not everything, but enough to be suspicious. The boy's rejection disturbed me more than anticipated. I was reinforcing my mental discipline, ensuring no weakness remained. The sound is non-committal. Evaluating, perhaps, or perhaps you are beginning to question your place in my empire. Vader says nothing. Silence is safer than words when Palpatine is probing. The Emperor watches him through the hologram. Second stretch. The surgical bay's environmental systems hum. The respirator cycles. Everything else is quiet. Finally, Palpatine speaks. You have served me well, Lord Vader. For over 2 decades, you have been my instrument of order, my enforcer. But instruments can become dull. Enforcers can develop sympathies that compromise their effectiveness. I have no sympathy for the rebellion. Not the rebellion, the boy. Palpatine's voice drops, soft, almost kind, the tone he uses when delivering killing blows. I know what you feel when you look at Luke Skywalker. You see Padme, you see the life you might have lived if things had been different. You see redemption. The word hangs in the air like poison gas. There is no redemption for me, Vader says. His voice is mechanical, emotionless, but inside, something twists. Precisely. And that is why you will bring me the boy, because you understand that your only purpose is service. That everything else, love, family, hope, these are illusions for those weak enough to believe in them. You abandoned such illusions on Mustafar. Do not resurrect them now. The transmission ends. The hologram collapses into nothing. The surgical bay returns to darkness except for the faint glow of standby lights. Vader stands motionless. The Emperor's words echo in his vocabulator. Instruments can become dull. Enforcers can develop sympathies. The threat is clear. Luke represents either an opportunity for Palpatine or a test of Vader's loyalty. Possibly both. And Vader's usefulness is being measured against his emotional compromise. He moves to the hidden terminal again, opens it, pulls up Order 65's authentication requirements. Grand Moff Tarkin's codes alone won't be enough. The protocol requires majority consensus from the Security Council, 6 of 12 members minimum, but most are dead and the survivors are loyalists, unless Vader accesses a different file. Imperial command structure, not the official hierarchy, the actual power distribution. Who controls which fleets? Which sectors? The Death Star's destruction created a vacuum. Tarkin's death removed the Empire's most competent administrator. The regional governors scramble to fill that void. Some are consolidating power, others are forming alliances. And several are concerned about the Emperor's stability. The loss of the Death Star was catastrophic, not just materially, psychologically. The Empire's ultimate weapon destroyed by a single fighter. The Emperor's grand strategy undone by a boy with a lucky shot. Except it wasn't luck, it was the Force. And several high-ranking Moffs know that. They've seen the reports. They understand that Palpatine's obsession with Jedi and Sith and Force users represents a liability. What if Vader could prove it? What if he could demonstrate that the Emperor's pursuit of Luke will lead to more disasters, more destroyed superweapons, more fractured military cohesion? The governors wouldn't support Order 65 out of morality, they'd support it out of pragmatism. The same calculus that built the Empire. Remove the unstable element, restore efficient command. And Vader is the stable alternative, the supreme commander, the proven enforcer, the one who gets results. He starts compiling a list. Potential allies, Moffs and admirals who prioritize Imperial strength over personal loyalty to Palpatine, officers who witnessed the Emperor's failures and survived long enough to question them. The list is shorter than he'd like, but it's not zero. His gauntlet moves across the terminal, pulling files, cross-referencing fleet positions, identifying which Star Destroyers are commanded by pragmatists versus fanatics. This is treason. If the Emperor discovers what he's planning, the punishment will be worse than death. Palpatine has Sith sorcery, techniques that can trap consciousness in eternal suffering. Vader has seen it used on captured Jedi. Their screams lasted for days, but if he does nothing, Luke dies. Or worse, Luke becomes what Vader is, another broken weapon in Palpatine's arsenal. The choice was already made in the meditation chamber. This is just logistics. He saves the compiled data to an isolated chip. Physical storage, no network connection, no way to trace it back to this terminal, unless someone physically searches his quarters. Then he erases every trace of the research from the system, wipes the cache, scrubs the logs. By the time he's finished, the terminal's history shows nothing but routine maintenance checks. The chip goes into a hidden compartment in his chest plate, magnetically sealed, protected by enough armor that even a direct blaster hit wouldn't breach it. He deactivates the terminal, closes the hidden panel. The wall looks like wall again. The surgical bay is silent except for his breathing. In, out, in, out. The first step is complete. He knows Order 65 is viable. He knows who might support it. He knows the Emperor suspects something, but doesn't have proof. The next step is contact, reaching out to potential allies without alerting Palpatine's spies, building a coalition quietly, testing loyalties carefully. It will take time, weeks, maybe months, and every day the risk of discovery increases. But Vader has spent 23 years being patient, 23 years waiting for something worth fighting for. He found it falling through the clouds of Bespin. His son chose death over darkness. Now Vader will choose treason over surrender. The respirator cycles. The decision is made. The executor drops out of hyperspace above Coruscant. 12 days later, Vader stands on the bridge, watching the planet resolve from a point of light into a sphere of city and clouds. A trillion souls living in the vertical sprawl of the Empire's capital, most of them unaware that their government is about to tear itself apart. 12 days of careful contact, encrypted transmissions, brief conversations in secure locations, feeling out which officers value stability over loyalty, which Moffs see the Emperor's obsession with Luke as a strategic liability. The coalition is small, fragile, but it exists. Grand Moff Tanith of the Core Worlds, 3 sector admirals who command battle groups in the mid-rim, a cluster of intelligence officers who've watched Palpatine's failures accumulate and started asking dangerous questions. Not enough to execute Order 65. The protocol requires 6 Security Council authentication codes. Vader has his own command authority and Tarkin's posthumous credentials recovered from the Death Star's wreckage. That's 2. He needs 4 more, and the remaining living council members are either fanatics or too terrified of the Emperor to consider treason. So Vader is taking a different approach. He's going to make Palpatine prove himself unfit, publicly, in front of witnesses who can't be silenced or ignored. My lord, Admiral Piet approaches from the crew pit. His uniform is immaculate, his expression carefully neutral. We've received landing clearance for the Imperial Palace. Your shuttle is prepared. Vader doesn't acknowledge immediately. He watches Coruscant grow larger in the viewport. Somewhere down there, the Emperor sits in his throne room, surrounded by guards and dark side energy and the accumulated power of 2 decades of absolute rule. Walking into that palace is walking into a trap. Palpatine knows something is wrong. He doesn't have proof yet, but his instincts are screaming warnings. Vader felt it during their last communication. The suspicion, the evaluation, the measuring of whether his apprentice still serves or has become a liability himself. Tell the shuttle pilot to stand by, Vader says. I'll depart within the hour. Piet bows and withdraws. Vader remains at the viewport. The bridge crew moves around him. Efficient. Professional. No one speaks unless necessary. His presence makes conversation feel like risk. He reaches out through the Force. Not broadly, not the way he'd sweep an area for threats. This is surgical. Precise. He touches the minds of the officers in his immediate vicinity. Not invading. Just reading surface thoughts. Testing. Piet is worried about Vader's recent behavior. The private meetings, the unusual transmission patterns. But he's loyal to the Empire first, to Vader second, to the Emperor a distant third. Lieutenant Turvik at the communication station is terrified. She's been ordered by Imperial intelligence to monitor Vader's communications and report anything suspicious. She hasn't found anything yet. The encryption is too good. But she knows that failure to discover treason is almost as dangerous as treason itself. Commander Voss, at the tactical console, is calculating. He sees the tension between Vader and Palpatine, understands that if they fracture, the entire command structure fractures with them. He's already planning which side to support based on who's more likely to win. None of them would follow Order 65 if Vader transmitted it right now. They'd hesitate, question, maybe even report him to the Emperor. But if Palpatine's instability becomes undeniable, if the Emperor demonstrates in front of witnesses that his obsession with Luke has compromised his judgment, then pragmatism overrides loyalty. Vader turns from the viewport. I'm departing for the surface. Admiral Piet has command until my return. He walks off the bridge. Officers salute as he passes. Stormtroopers stand at attention, everyone wondering where their commander is going and why he seems different lately. Colder, more focused, less willing to tolerate the usual Imperial incompetence. The shuttle bay is cavernous. Multiple Lambda-class transports rest on their landing skids. Crews perform maintenance. Pilots run pre-flight checks. Everything moving with military precision. Vader's personal shuttle sits apart from the others. Black hull, enhanced shielding, no Imperial markings except a single designation number. He boards without acknowledging the pilot or the two royal guards who stand at attention near the boarding ramp. The interior is Spartanly functional. No seats except the pilot's chair. Vader stands in the passenger compartment as the shuttle lifts off. Through the viewport, the executor shrinks to a dagger shape and then to a point of light against the stars. The descent through Coruscant's atmosphere takes 11 minutes. Traffic streams around them in organized chaos. Billions of beings moving through the vertical city on errands that mean everything to them and nothing to the galaxy. The shuttle banks toward the Palace District. Towers rise like metal mountains. The Emperor's residence dominates the center. A pyramidal structure of dark stone and reinforced transparent steel. Defensive turrets hidden in the architecture. Shield generators beneath the surface. Enough firepower to hold off a fleet bombardment. They land on a platform 2/3 of the way up. Red guards stand at attention. Palace security monitors every approach vector. This building has never been successfully attacked, never been infiltrated. Palpatine built it to be impregnable. Vader descends the ramp. The guards don't speak. They simply fall into formation around him. 2 ahead, 2 behind, escorting him like an honored guest and a prisoner simultaneously. The corridors are red, deep crimson that makes everything look like it's lit by dying suns. The walls are polished stone. The floor is so smooth that his footsteps echo despite the carpeting. Aesthetics designed to intimidate, to remind visitors that they walk through the heart of absolute power. They reach the throne room doors, massive slabs of reinforced metal, sealed with magnetic locks and protected by 6 more royal guards. The guards open the doors without being asked. They know Vader's schedule, know the Emperor is expecting him. The throne room is a vast chamber, circular, the ceiling lost in shadows 50 meters overhead. Windows line one wall, showing the Coruscant skyline. The opposite wall is solid stone carved with imagery that predates the Empire. Sith symbols, ancient and terrible. The Emperor sits at the chamber's center. Not on a throne, on a simple chair elevated 3 steps above the floor. His robes are black, his face is hidden beneath a hood. Only the yellow eyes are visible, burning in the shadows like coals. Vader walks forward. His boots ring against the stone. The sound echoes, multiplies, makes it seem like an army is approaching instead of one cybernetic warrior. He stops at the base of the steps, bows, not kneeling. Palpatine stopped requiring that years ago, but a formal acknowledgement of rank. Lord Vader, the Emperor's voice fills the chamber, amplified by the Force until it seems to come from everywhere at once. You arrive precisely when summoned. How efficient. I serve at your pleasure, my master. Do you? Palpatine leans forward slightly. The gesture is minimal, but the effect is theatrical. I wonder, you've been distant lately, distracted. Your reports lack their usual detail. Your hunts for rebel cells have been less aggressive. One might think your mind is elsewhere. The rebellion adapts. Their tactics require modified responses. Indeed. Or perhaps you are adapting, modifying your loyalties. The accusation hangs in the air, not quite direct, not quite deniable. Palpatine's favorite technique. Implied treason. Watch the response. Learn from the defense. Vader's respirator cycles in, out. The sound fills the silence. He doesn't respond immediately. doesn't rush to denial. That would signal guilt. I am loyal to the Empire, he says finally. Everything I do serves Imperial stability. The Empire. Not me. You are the Empire. Am I? The Emperor stands, slowly, his robes flowing around him like smoke. Or am I simply the current administrator of a system that will outlast both of us? Tell me, Lord Vader, if I were to die tomorrow, would the Empire collapse? Or would it continue under new leadership? The question is a trap within a trap. Agree that the Empire survives Palpatine's death, and he implies the Emperor is replaceable. Disagree, and he's lying because the Imperial command structure is explicitly designed for continuity. The Empire would endure, Vader says, as you designed it to. But leadership transitions create instability, chaos, weakness that enemies exploit. Very diplomatic, Palpatine descends the steps, moving closer. His presence in the Force expands, pressing against Vader's consciousness like a physical weight. But you didn't answer my question. Would you mourn my death? Or celebrate the opportunity for advancement? Neither. I would ensure the transition maintained order. How pragmatic. The Emperor circles him, studying, evaluating. And if that transition required removing obstacles? Officers loyal to me but not to stability? Systems that serve my interests rather than Imperial efficiency? Vader doesn't turn to follow Palpatine's movement. He stands facing forward, letting the Emperor circle like a predator examining prey. I would do what serves the Empire. I believe you would. Palpatine completes the circle, returns to stand directly in front of Vader. That is precisely what concerns me. You see, my apprentice, I have spent decades building a government that serves my vision. Every law, every structure, every protocol designed to consolidate power in a single authority. Mine. And now you speak of the Empire as if it exists independently of me, as if my death would be an inconvenience rather than a catastrophe. I misspoke. Did you? Or did you reveal what you truly believe? The Emperor's voice drops, becomes almost gentle. I know about Order 65, Lord Vader. The words hit like a physical blow. Vader's respirator stutters. Just for a moment. A fraction of a second where the rhythm breaks. He recovers instantly, but the Emperor noticed. Yellow eyes gleam with satisfaction. You thought yourself clever, accessing old protocols, building your coalition of pragmatists and malcontents. Believing I wouldn't sense the shift in loyalties around you? Palpatine raises one hand. Lightning crackles between his fingers. Not attacking, just demonstrating power. I am the Sithari, the culmination of 1,000 years of Sith evolution. Did you truly believe you could conspire against me without my knowledge? Vader's hand moves toward his lightsaber. Instinct, muscle memory from 10,000 fights. The Emperor's other hand extends. The Force slams into Vader like a charging rancor. Invisible pressure that lifts him off the ground and hurls him backward 15 meters. He crashes into the stone wall hard enough to crack it. Armor screeches. Cybernetics strain. Pain shoots through what remains of his organic body. He lands on his feet. Barely, his cape is shredded. His respirator is cycling irregularly. Warning lights flash inside his helmet's display. Palpatine hasn't moved from his position. Hasn't even lowered his hands. You are powerful, my apprentice. Perhaps the most powerful Force user alive except for me. But power without cunning is worthless. And you have never been cunning, only brutally effective. The Emperor's voice remains calm, conversational. Did you really think I wouldn't prepare for your inevitable betrayal? The rule of two demands it. Every apprentice eventually tries to kill their master. I have been waiting for this moment since Mustafar. Vader ignites his lightsaber. The crimson blade screams to life. He falls into a defensive stance. Gem so. Aggressive but controlled. I know what you plan to do with Luke, Vader says. His vocabulary makes the words mechanical, flat. But underneath is something else. Something that might be desperation. You don't want him to help me rule. You want him to replace me. Of course I do. Palpatine laughs. The sound is dry, brittle. You are broken, Lord Vader, powerful but limited. The suit sustains you but also constrains you. Luke Skywalker is whole, undamaged. He carries your potential without your weaknesses. Why would I keep you when I can have him? He'll never join you. He will. Or he'll die. Either outcome is acceptable. The Emperor extends both hands. Lightning erupts. Not the warning display from before. Full power. blue-white energy that fills the chamber with light and the smell of ozone. Vader raises his lightsaber. The blade intercepts the lightning, conducts it, channels it into the floor where it scorches stone and creates spiderweb cracks. But the attack doesn't stop. Palpatine pours more power into it. The lightning intensifies, branches, finds gaps in Vader's defense, strikes his armor, his respirator, his cybernetic limbs. Warning klaxons scream inside his helmet. Life support systems overload. His breathing apparatus stutters. The mechanical lungs that keep him alive are failing under the electrical assault. He can't maintain the defense, can't redirect enough lightning to prevent catastrophic damage. The suit is killing him. The very thing that sustains his life is conducting Palpatine's attack directly into his body. Through the pain and the electricity and the failing systems, Vader makes a choice. He stops defending, lets the lightning hit him fully, accepts the agony as the dark side floods his body. And he reaches out through the Force, not at Palpatine, at the throne room's security systems. The doors explode inward, magnetic locks shatter, reinforced metal tears away from its mountings. The 6 royal guards outside stumble backward, as their defensive positions are destroyed. Beyond them, the corridor is filled with stormtroopers. Not the usual palace security. These are 501st Legion, Vader's personal troops, the unit that followed him through the Jedi Temple on the night of Order 66. And at their head stands Captain Rex, clone trooper, veteran of the Clone Wars, one of the few who removed his inhibitor chip and survived. Rex raises his blaster rifle, points it at the Emperor. Order 65 is authenticated and transmitted, he says. His voice is hard. Certain. Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, you are hereby detained for crimes against the Galactic Republic. Palpatine's lightning stops. The Emperor stares at the stormtroopers. At Vader collapsed on the floor, at the impossible situation that just materialized around him. Then he smiles. Well then, let us see if your loyalty can withstand what comes next. Palpatine's smile widens. The expression is grotesque on his withered face, skin pulled tight over bone, yellow eyes gleaming with something that might be amusement or might be murder. Captain Rex, the Emperor's voice is pleasant, almost friendly. I wondered when you would reappear, the clone who thought himself free. Tell me, do you truly believe that removing a chip makes you independent? Or does it simply reveal how thoroughly your programming runs? Rex doesn't lower his rifle. I know what you are, what you've always been. And I know what needs to be done. Do you? Palpatine takes a step forward. Not threatening, casual. Like he's approaching an old friend. Then why do your hands shake? Why does your heart rate accelerate? Why does every instinct in your genetically engineered brain scream that you cannot shoot the Supreme Commander? Rex's grip tightens on the weapon. His finger rests against the trigger guard. Not quite committed, not quite backing down. Behind him, the 501st hold their positions. 30 stormtroopers in white armor, weapons raised, targeting the Emperor. But none of them are firing. None of them are advancing. They're waiting for Rex to give the order. And Rex is frozen. Vader pushes himself upright. His servos whine. Hydraulics protest. The respirator is cycling irregularly. Every third breath catches. Stutters. A reminder that his life support took damage it can't fully compensate for. But he's standing. His lightsaber is still ignited, and Palpatine's attention is divided between him and the stormtroopers. You planned this carefully, the Emperor says. He's still looking at Rex, but his words are for Vader. The encrypted transmissions, the coalition building, even recruiting clones who hate me. But you made one critical error, my apprentice. Waits, his combat instincts are screaming warnings, but he can't identify the specific threat yet. Palpatine raises his left hand, fingers spread, palm facing the stormtroopers. You assumed loyalty could override programming. The Force erupts from his hand. Not lightning. Something worse. Dark-side energy compressed into a wave that slams through the corridor like a tsunami. Invisible. Overwhelming. Targeting the minds of every clone trooper simultaneously. Rex staggers. His rifle drops. Both hands go to his helmet. He's screaming, but the sound is muffled by the armor. The 501st collapse. All of them. 30 soldiers falling in perfect synchronization. Their weapons clatter against stone. Their bodies convulse. Inside their helmets, their eyes are bleeding. Vader reaches out through the Force, tries to shield them, create a barrier between Palpatine's attack and the clones' minds. The Emperor's presence swats him aside like an insect. The dark side energy is too concentrated, too focused. Decades of Sith sorcery channeled into a technique designed specifically to exploit the weakness in clone psychology. They were built to follow orders, engineered for obedience, and Palpatine is giving them an order that overrides everything else. Die. Rex's convulsions stop, his body goes limp. Through the Force, Vader feels his life signature flicker and fade. Not completely gone, but damaged, broken. Whatever made Rex a person instead of just a number has been crushed beneath the Emperor's will. The other clones are dying, some faster than others, those with stronger individual personalities fighting longer. But they're all losing. Stop. Vader's vocabulary barely functions. The word comes out distorted, mechanical. They're soldiers. They were following my orders. Precisely. Palpatine lowers his hand. The dark side assault stops. Rex and the 501st lie motionless on the throne room floor. Alive but catatonic, breathing but not conscious. They followed you, into treason, into this pathetic attempt at a coup, and now they pay the price for your arrogance. The Emperor turns, faces Vader fully. His robes settle around him. His yellow eyes burn with dark side energy that makes the air shimmer. You wanted to execute Order 65, to remove me from power and take control of the Empire yourself. Very ambitious, very foolish. Did you really believe I wouldn't have contingencies? That I haven't spent 23 years preparing for your inevitable betrayal? The blade hums, vibrates, the kyber crystal inside resonating with the dark side energy saturating the throne room. He knows he can't win this fight. Not here, not in the heart of Palpatine's power where the Emperor has every advantage. The throne room is built on a vergence in the Force, a dark side nexus that amplifies Sith techniques and weakens Jedi ones. But running isn't an option either. Palpatine knows everything. The conspiracy, the coalition, the plan to use Order 65. If Vader retreats now, the Emperor will systematically dismantle every piece of the structure he's built, arrest the Moffs who supported him, execute the officers who provided intelligence, purge the military of anyone who questioned Palpatine's stability. And then he'll go after Luke, not to turn him, to kill him, eliminate the threat before it grows stronger. I won't let you have my son. Vader's voice is clearer now. The vocabulator compensated for the damage, rerouted power from non-essential systems. I won't let you turn him into what you made me. You have no choice in the matter. Palpatine's tone is final, absolute. Luke Skywalker will kneel before me or he will die. And you will help me achieve either outcome. Because that is what you are, Lord Vader. A tool. My tool, and tools do not have the luxury of refusal. He attacks. Not with lightning, with the Force itself, raw telekinetic pressure that slams into Vader from every direction simultaneously. The impact drives him to his knees. His armor screams. Durasteel plates compress. Cybernetic joints lock. The respirator chokes. His artificial lungs can't expand against the crushing force. Palpatine walks forward, descending the throne room steps. His movements are slow, deliberate. He's savoring this. The moment when his rebellious apprentice is finally broken completely. I should have done this years ago, the Emperor says. Replaced you with someone more obedient. But you were useful. Your reputation, your brutality, the fear your name inspired. All valuable assets. But Luke will provide those same benefits without your troublesome attachment to the past. The pressure increases. Vader's chest plate cracks. Hairline fractures spreading across the reinforced armor. His organic body beneath is being crushed, ribs fracturing, internal organs compressed. He can't breathe. The respirator is trying, but the pressure won't let air flow. His vision darkens. The helmet's display flashes critical warnings. Life support failure imminent. Through the pain and the suffocation and the failing systems, Vader reaches inward. Not to the Force, to memory. Padme's voice. There's still good in you. Obi-Wan's voice. I'll never join you. Obi-Wan's voice. You were my brother Anakin. Every person who believed he could be more than what Palpatine made him, every moment when he chose darkness because it seemed easier than fighting for light. Every regret accumulated over 23 years of service to a master who never saw him as anything but a weapon. The dark side is Vader's strength, his foundation. But it's also his prison. Palpatine taught him to use hate and pain as fuel, to channel suffering into power. But suffering has limits. Pain can be endured only so long before the body breaks. Love has no such limits. Vader stops fighting the pressure, stops resisting Palpatine's attack. Instead, he accepts it, lets it crush him, lets the pain become absolute, and in that moment of surrender, he releases something he's held clenched for 2 decades. His hate, the dark side energy inside him, doesn't disappear. That's impossible. It's woven too deeply into his being. But it shifts, changes, transforms into something different. Not light side energy, not redemption, something in between. Something that has no name because the Sith and Jedi both refuse to acknowledge it exists. Purpose. The telekinetic pressure shatters, explodes outward. The Force erupts from Vader's body in a shockwave that cracks the throne room floor and sends Palpatine stumbling backward. Vader rises, not slowly, instantly. His armor is damaged but functional. His respirator is failing but still cycling. His body is broken but still moving. He ignites his lightsaber. The crimson blade burns brighter than before, the kyber crystal inside resonating with the shift in his Force presence. Still dark, still corrupted, but no longer serving Palpatine's will. The Emperor steadies himself. His expression shifts from satisfaction to surprise to cold fury. Impossible. You cannot break my dominion through sentiment. This isn't sentiment. Vader's voice is different. The mechanical distortion remains, but underneath is something organic, human. This is choice, and I choose to stop being your weapon. He attacks, not with Form V's patient strength, with Form 7's aggressive chaos, Juyo, the forbidden form, the technique that channels raw emotion into unpredictable violence. The blade screams through the air. Palpatine ignites his own lightsaber, the crimson blade intercepting Vader's strike centimeters from his face. They separate, circle. The throne room becomes an arena. Palpatine's fighting style is refined, elegant, centuries of Sith knowledge compressed into movements that waste no energy. He attacks with precise thrusts aimed at Vader's exposed joints. The gaps in armor where cybernetics meet flesh, Vader's style is brutal, overwhelming. He uses his height and reach to create angles Palpatine can't easily defend. His strength augmented by the Force. Each strike carries enough power to shatter stone. Their blades meet again. Lock. Red light reflects off the throne room's polished walls, creates shadows that dance across the floor. You were always too weak, Palpatine hisses. His voice is strained, exerted, too compromised by attachment. That is why you will always be my inferior. His mass and momentum drive the Emperor backward. Palpatine stumbles, recovers, unleashes lightning from his free hand. The electricity arcs across the gap, strikes Vader's chest plate, conducts through his armor into his cybernetics. His left arm seizes, the mechanical hand locks around his lightsaber hilt. Warning klaxons scream. But he doesn't stop. He advances through the lightning, accepts the pain, uses it. His blade comes down in an overhead strike. Palpatine blocks, barely. The impact drives him to one knee. His lightsaber shakes. His arms strain against Vader's superior strength. The clones, Vader says. His respirator is failing again. Each word is a struggle. You killed them because they followed me, because they chose loyalty over programming. They chose treason. They chose freedom. Vader pushes harder, forces Palpatine's blade downward. Something you've never allowed anyone. Not me, not the Empire, not even yourself. You're as much a slave to the dark side as I was. The difference is, I'm willing to break my chains. He releases his lightsaber. The weapon deactivates mid-strike, falls to the floor. Palpatine's eyes widen. Confusion. Suspicion. His blade swings upward into empty space where Vader's guard should be. Vader's right hand, now free, extends. Fingers spread. Palm facing the Emperor. And he does something no one has done in 1,000 years. He uses both light and dark simultaneously. The Force explodes from his hand. Not lightning. Not a push. Something else. Energy that burns white and black. Light corrupted by darkness. Darkness tempered by light. Impossible power born from refusing to choose between extremes. The blast strikes Palpatine's center mass, lifts him off the ground, hurls him across the throne room. He crashes into his own throne. The chair shatters. Stone fractures. The impact is catastrophic. Vader collapses, his respirator stops. Just stops. The system is fried, circuits melted, life support offline. He has maybe 90 seconds before brain death, maybe less. His organic lungs are trying to function, but they're too damaged, too compromised by decades of dependence on machinery. He crawls toward his lightsaber, one hand, then the other, dragging his body across the floor. His vision is tunneling, darkening, the edges of his helmet's display going black. Behind him, Palpatine rises from the rubble of his throne. His robes are shredded, his face is bleeding. But he's alive, and he's standing. "You dare," the Emperor's voice is raw, furious. "You dare use lightside techniques against me. After everything I gave you, after I saved you from death on Mustafar." Vader reaches his lightsaber, grabs it, can't activate it. His hand won't close properly. The cybernetics are too damaged. Palpatine raises both hands. Lightning builds between his fingers, not the measured torture he used before. Full power, the kind that kills. "You wanted freedom, apprentice? Let me grant it, permanently." The lightning erupts, fills the throne room with blue-white light, and the throne room doors explode inward for the second time. But this time, it's not stormtroopers. It's Jedi. Luke Skywalker stands at the front, his lightsaber ignited, blue blade burning in the darkness. Behind him are others, not many, 5, 6. The survivors of the Purge, who've been hiding for 23 years. Luke's eyes find Vader on the floor, then shift to Palpatine preparing to kill him. The boy's expression hardens, becomes something Vader has never seen before. Determination. "Let him go," Luke says. His voice is young, untrained, but it carries power, the Force resonating with his words. "Or face all of us." Palpatine's lightning stops. He stares at the Jedi, at Luke, at the impossible situation that just got exponentially worse. Then he laughs. The sound echoes through the ruined throne room. "Perfect. All my enemies in one place. How efficient." Luke doesn't wait for Palpatine to attack first. He charges. No tactical assessment, no coordinated strategy, just raw instinct channeled through a body that's been training for 3 weeks, since Cloud City. The blue blade cuts through the space between them. Palpatine's lightsaber intercepts the strike. Red meets blue. The clash creates a sound like metal tearing. Sparks cascade across the throne room floor. "Young Skywalker." The Emperor's voice is calm despite the violence. "So eager to die for a father who doesn't deserve saving." Luke doesn't respond. He attacks again. Overhead slash, horizontal cut, thrust. The movements are crude but powerful. Form IV basics that Obi-Wan taught him, merged with instinct the Force provides. Behind him, the other Jedi spread out. Vader recognizes 2 of them even through his failing vision. Ashoka Tano, older than he remembers. White lightsabers ignited. Her Togruta Montrolls are marked with scars that weren't there during the Clone Wars. And Quinlan Vos, the Jedi who walked so close to the dark side that the Council never fully trusted him. His green blade hums. His dreadlocks are gray now. 23 years of hiding added decades to his appearance. The other 3 are unfamiliar. Younger Jedi. Padawans when Order 66 happened. Survivors who stayed hidden while the Empire hunted their kind to near extinction. They don't charge like Luke did. They advance carefully, creating a perimeter, cutting off Palpatine's escape routes. Professional, coordinated. The kind of tactics that come from surviving impossible odds. Vader's respirator makes a sound like grinding metal, then stops completely. His chest doesn't rise, his lungs aren't moving. The backup systems that should engage aren't functioning. Too much damage. Too many critical failures. He has 60 seconds of consciousness left. Maybe less. His hand closes around his lightsaber. The cybernetics barely respond. Servos whine. Hydraulics leak. But the fingers curl. Grip. Hold. He activates the blade. The crimson light cuts through the darkness, creeping into his vision. Palpatine sees him moving, sees the Jedi closing in, recalculates the tactical situation with the speed that kept him alive through decades of Sith politics. He releases a pulse of Force energy, not directed, omnidirectional. A shockwave that expands from his body in all directions simultaneously. Luke is thrown backward, crashes into a pillar. The impact cracks stone. The boy slides down, stunned but not unconscious. The other Jedi brace themselves, plant their feet, channel the Force to anchor their bodies against the blast. Ahsoka and Quinlan hold position. The three younger Jedi stumble but recover. Vader is already on the ground. The pulse passes over him, lifts his cape, scatters debris, does nothing worse than what his body is already experiencing. He pushes himself upright, not standing, kneeling. That's all his damaged systems can manage. But it's enough to bring his lightsaber into guard position. Palpatine's attention snaps to him, yellow eyes blazing. Still defiant, even as you suffocate, your determination would be admirable if it weren't so futile. The Emperor raises his hand toward Vader, not attacking. Gesturing, I could save you. Repair your respirator with a thought. Restore your life support. All you need to do is kneel, truly kneel. Abandon this pathetic rebellion and return to your place as my apprentice. Vader's vocabulator tries to function, produces only static. His voice is gone. The mechanical larynx that translates thought into sound is offline. But the Force carries meaning without words. No, the refusal hits Palpatine like a physical blow, not because of its power, because of its finality. 23 years of control, 23 years of domination, shattered by a single syllable. The Emperor's expression twists, fury replacing calculation. Then die, and watch your son die with you. He moves, not toward Vader, toward Luke. The boy is still recovering from hitting the pillar, still shaking off the disorientation. Ahsoka intercepts. Both white blades cross in front of Palpatine's strike. The impact drives her backward 3 steps. Her boots skid across stone, but she holds. You remember me, she says. Her voice is hard, bitter. Anakin's Padawan, the one you helped turn into a fugitive. Ahsoka Tano. Palpatine's blade presses against hers, testing her strength, finding it considerable. The faithless apprentice. I heard you survived Order 66. Disappointing. You should have died with your masters. She doesn't take the bait, doesn't let anger compromise her form. Instead, she disengages, spins left, creates distance. Her second blade comes around in a strike aimed at Palpatine's exposed flank. He blocks without looking. His lightsaber moves with precognitive precision, the Force telling him where the attack will be before it arrives. Quinlan attacks from the right, his green blade targeting the same opening Ahsoka created. Coordinated assault, the kind of teamwork that Jedi train for years to perfect. Palpatine's free hand extends. Force lightning erupts, catches Quinlan mid-strike. The Jedi's advance becomes a scream. He crashes to the ground, his robes smoking, his lightsaber skittering across the floor. The 3 younger Jedi charge together. Simultaneous attack from 3 vectors, blue, green, and yellow blades converging on the Emperor's position. Palpatine spins. His lightsaber becomes a crimson blur. He parries all 3 strikes in a single rotation. The speed is impossible, augmented by the Force and by Sith techniques refined across centuries. His counter is brutal, a thrust that punches through the yellow blade wielder's guard. The Jedi, a human female barely out of her 20s, gasps. The lightsaber burns through her shoulder, non-lethal but incapacitating. She falls. The other 2 Jedi press the attack, trying to create enough pressure to prevent Palpatine from finishing her. The Emperor responds with a Force push. Targeted. Precise. Both Jedi are thrown backward. One hits the wall. The other crashes through the throne room's massive window. Transparasteel shatters. The sound is crystalline and terrible. The Jedi falls. 50 stories. Screaming, Ahsoka leaps after him. Doesn't hesitate. Just throws herself through the broken window into Coruscant's vertical cityscape. Luke is on his feet now, his lightsaber raised. His face shows horror and determination in equal measure. He's alone. The other Jedi are down or gone. Quinlan is stirring but not combat-ready. The wounded female Jedi is unconscious. The one who went through the window is falling or dead, and Vader is kneeling 15 meters away. Not breathing, not moving except for the minute tremor in his hands as his body fights to survive without life support. This is what happens, Palpatine says. He's not even breathing hard, not even winded despite fighting 6 Jedi simultaneously. When sentiment overrides logic, when attachment compromises judgment. Your father tried to save you, tried to overthrow me to protect you, and now you will both die because of that weakness." Luke's grip tightens on his lightsaber. He's not weak. He's stronger than you'll ever be. Is he? The Emperor glances at Vader. Look at him, broken, dying, unable to even speak. That is not strength. That is failure, the inevitable result of defying the dark side's natural order. The dark side doesn't have to rule everything. Foolish child. The dark side is everything. Passion, ambition, survival. These are the fundamental forces of existence. The light side is stagnation, complacency, acceptance of mediocrity. I offer you power beyond measure, the chance to stand beside me and rule the galaxy. Or die here beside your father in pointless sacrifice. Luke doesn't respond with words. He attacks. The blue blade comes down in an overhead strike that carries all the rage and fear and desperate hope in his being. Palpatine blocks casually, twists his wrist. Luke's lightsaber is redirected into the floor. Stone melts, vaporizes. The Emperor's counter is a horizontal slash aimed at Luke's neck. The boy jerks backward. The crimson blade misses by centimeters, close enough that Luke feels the heat. Smells burning hair. He stumbles. Off balance, open. Palpatine's left hand extends. Force lightning erupts, strikes Luke's center mass. The boy's scream fills the throne room. He convulses, falls to his knees. His lightsaber drops from nerveless fingers. The lightning continues, blue-white energy crawling across Luke's body, burning through his flight suit, scorching skin. The same technique Palpatine used on Vader 1,000 times. Measured torture designed to break will without killing. Feel the power of the dark side, the Emperor hisses. Feel what your father endured for decades, what he inflicted on others in my name. This is what you're fighting for. A broken man who serves evil. Luke's eyes find Vader through the lightning, through the pain. The boy's expression isn't hate, isn't fear. It's understanding. He sees what Vader became, what Palpatine made him, and he doesn't reject it, doesn't turn away. He accepts it. I know what he did. Luke gasps, the words barely audible over the lightning's crackle. I know what he is, and I still believe there's good in him. The lightning intensifies. Luke's back arches. His scream becomes something inhuman. Vader watches. 40 seconds of consciousness remaining. Maybe 30. His vision is tunnel black. Only the center remains. Only Luke suffering the same torture Vader endured countless times. His son is dying, and Vader is too damaged to stop it. But he can do one thing. He reaches into his chest plate. The motion is clumsy. His cybernetic hand barely functions. But the fingers find the hidden compartment, the one containing the data chip with all his intelligence on Order 65, on Palpatine's contingencies, on the locations of Sith artifacts and hidden bases. He pulls the chip free, transfers it to his left hand, his organic hand, the one that still has some sensation remaining. Then he throws it, not at Palpatine, at Quinlan Vos. The Jedi is conscious now, watching, waiting for an opening. The chip lands beside him, skids across the floor. Quinlan's eyes meet Vader's. A moment of recognition, of shared understanding. The Jedi who walked the dark side's edge knows what Vader is offering. Everything, every secret, every weakness, every piece of intelligence Vader accumulated over 23 years as the Emperor's enforcer. Quinlan grabs the chip, pockets it, nods once. Then he runs, not toward the fight, toward the exit, abandoning Luke and Vader to die while he escapes with information that could destroy Palpatine. It's the right tactical choice, the smart move, exactly what Vader would do. The Emperor sees him fleeing, raises his free hand to attack. Luke lunges, not with his lightsaber, with his body, crashes into Palpatine's legs. The impact breaks the Emperor's concentration. The lightning stops. The force attack on Quinlan dissipates. The Jedi escapes through the throne room doors, gone, taking Vader's intelligence with him. Palpatine looks down at Luke. The boy is clinging to his robes, barely conscious, burned and broken, but still fighting. Impressive, the Emperor says. His tone is almost admiring. You sacrifice yourself for a stranger's escape. Very Jedi, very foolish. He raises his lightsaber. The crimson blade hums, points downward, aimed at Luke's spine. Your father dies watching you perish. Your rebellion dies with you. And I continue, as I always have, as I always will. The blade descends. Vader moves. Not much, not far, just enough. His lightsaber, still ignited, still gripped in his damaged hand, intercepts Palpatine's strike. The impact sends feedback through Vader's arm. Cybernetics scream, circuits fry, but the blades lock. Red against red. Master versus apprentice for the final time. Vader's vocabulator produces one sound, barely a word, more a mechanical growl. No. Palpatine's eyes widen. Not with fear, with rage. You should be dead. Vader doesn't have breath to respond, doesn't have functioning lungs, doesn't have anything except the force and will and the absolute refusal to let his son die. He pushes, channels everything remaining into his arms, his blade, his stance. Palpatine's lightsaber is driven backward, up, away from Luke. The Emperor stumbles, actually stumbles, his perfect balance, compromised by surprise. Vader rises, not to his feet, to one knee. That's all his body can manage. But from one knee, he can still fight. His blade comes around in a horizontal slash. Palpatine blocks. The impact creates sparks that rain across the throne room. They separate. Circle. Vader's movements are mechanical, stuttering. His body is shutting down system by system, but the dark side sustains what the machinery cannot. Pain becomes fuel. Desperation becomes power. Palpatine attacks with a flurry of strikes, 7 blows in 3 seconds, each one aimed at Vader's critical systems, his respirator, his power pack, his joints. Vader defends. Barely, his parries are crude, desperate, but they hold. The 8th strike gets through. Palpatine's blade cuts across Vader's chestplate, melts armor, severs cables. The power pack that feeds his cybernetics sparks and dies. Vader's legs lock. His arms freeze. Only his right hand, gripping the lightsaber, retains any function. He's a statue now, kneeling, blade raised, unable to move. Palpatine steps back, deactivates his lightsaber. The fight is over. 23 years. The Emperor says, his voice is tired, almost sad. I made you into perfection, a weapon without equal, and you threw it away for sentiment. Vader's vocabulator is dead. His vision is black, his hearing is fading, but he feels Luke moving behind him, crawling, reaching for his dropped lightsaber. Palpatine raises his hands. Lightning builds between his fingers. Goodbye, Lord Vader. You were useful once. The lightning erupts, fills the throne room with light, and Luke Skywalker's blue blade ignites. The boy throws his lightsaber, not at Palpatine, at the throne room's main power conduit, the massive cable running through the wall that feeds the palace's shield generators. The blade severs it, electricity arcs, explodes. The entire throne room's lighting system overloads. Darkness, complete, absolute. The lightning stops. Palpatine curses, his voice echoing in the black. Vader feels hands on his shoulders. Small, human, Luke's. I've got you, the boy whispers. I've got you, Father. Then the floor beneath them opens, not naturally, mechanically, a hidden escape passage activating. They fall together into darkness. Vader wakes to the sound of breathing, not his own, someone else's, organic, rhythmic, the kind of sound he hasn't produced in over 2 decades. His optical sensors activate slowly, emergency power only. The helmet's display shows critical failures across every system. Life support offline, respirator destroyed, power pack severed, cybernetic control interfaces fried. He should be dead. He's not. The reason becomes clear when his vision focuses. A breathing mask covers the lower half of his helmet. Crude, improvised. Tubing runs to a portable medical ventilator sitting on the floor beside him. The machine cycles air into his lungs mechanically, keeping him alive through external pressure rather than internal systems. Luke sits against the wall 3 meters away. The boy's face is haggard, burned. The lightning left scorch marks across his neck and hands. His flight suit is shredded, but he's conscious, alert, watching Vader with an expression that might be concern or might be exhaustion. You're awake. Luke's voice is hoarse, damaged vocal cords. I wasn't sure you'd make it. Your suit is destroyed. The medical scanner said you had maybe 5 minutes of oxygen left in your bloodstream when we landed. Can't ask where they are or how long he's been unconscious, or what happened after the fall. He looks around instead. They're in a maintenance tunnel, old infrastructure. The kind of subterranean passage that runs beneath Coruscant's surface like veins beneath skin. The walls are corroded durasteel. The floor is grated metal overflowing water. Condensation drips from overhead pipes. The air smells like rust and organic decay. The city's refuse. Its forgotten spaces where maintenance droids work and humans never venture. We fell 4 levels, Luke says. He's reading Vader's body language. Interpreting the questions Vader can't vocalize. The escape passage deposited us in an old Senate bunker. From there I dragged you through service corridors until I found this place. I didn't know where else to go. Didn't know who to trust. Vader's right hand moves. Slowly, the only limb with any remaining function. He points at Luke, then gestures upward, asking the question without words. Palpatine? Luke shakes his head. I don't know. The power outage only lasted a few seconds, long enough for us to fall through the escape hatch before it sealed. After that, I just ran, carried you until my arms gave out, then dragged you. I could feel him searching, his presence in the Force like a spotlight sweeping through the darkness. But he didn't find us. The boy pauses, looks at his burned hands. The skin is blistered, raw. He flexes his fingers and winces. Ahsoka and Quinlan got away. I felt them through the Force. Ahsoka saved the Jedi who fell through the window, used the Force to slow his descent. They scattered after that. Quinlan took something, a data chip. He's taking it to the rebellion. Vader's intelligence, everything he compiled on Palpatine's contingencies, in the hands of the rebels now. That changes the tactical situation, gives them advantages they didn't have before. But it also means Palpatine knows Vader betrayed him completely. No going back, no reconciliation. The Emperor will hunt him with every resource the Empire possesses. Luke stands, walks to the ventilator, checks the settings, adjusts the flow rate slightly. I don't know how to fix your suit, he says. His voice carries shame, inadequacy. I can barely use the Force. Can't do anything complicated like repairing cybernetics or restoring life support. All I could do was find this ventilator in an abandoned medical station and hook it up to your helmet's emergency intake port. He sits back down, meets Vader's optical sensors. I should leave you here. That's what the smart move is. You're too damaged to transport, too vulnerable. I'd have a better chance of escaping alone, finding the rebellion, helping them use whatever intelligence you gave Quinlan. The boy's hands clench into fists. But I can't just leave you to die in a maintenance tunnel. Not after what you did in the throne room. You saved me, even though it meant revealing your rebellion to Palpatine, even though it cost you everything. Vader's hand moves again, pointing at Luke, then pushing away. The gesture is clear. Go, leave me. No. Luke's voice hardens, becomes something other than a farm boy's innocence. You don't get to make that choice. You spent 23 years serving evil because you thought you didn't have options, because Palpatine convinced you there was no other path. Well, I'm here to tell you there is. And I'm not abandoning you to die just because it's convenient. The silence that follows is broken only by the ventilators cycling. In, out, in, out. The machine doing for Vader what his body cannot. Luke pulls a datapad from his belt, damaged but functional. The screen flickers to life. I've been scanning Imperial frequencies while you were unconscious, trying to understand what's happening up there. He scrolls through text, news feeds, military communications. Palpatine declared martial law 3 hours ago, claimed the Jedi attempted a coup, that you were compromised by rebel agents and tried to assassinate him. The entire city is on lockdown, stormtroopers searching every building, star destroyers in orbit blocking all traffic. He looks up from the datapad. He's hunting us, and he's using the full might of the Empire to do it. We can't stay here, but we can't run either. Not with you in this condition. So we need help. We need someone who can repair your suit. Someone with the skills and resources and who won't immediately turn us in for the bounty Palpatine just posted. Vader knows exactly one person who fits those criteria. Someone with medical expertise and mechanical knowledge. Someone who hates the Empire enough to risk harboring its most wanted fugitive. Someone who already knows Vader's identity and didn't report it. His hand moves to his chest plate, finds a hidden panel, presses the emergency release. A small compartment opens. Inside is a comlink, encrypted, one of several Vader keeps for covert communications. This one is tuned to a specific frequency, a contact he established years ago during a mission to Polis Massa. He can't speak into it, his vocabulary is destroyed, but he can activate it. Send the distress beacon. Luke sees what he's doing, takes the comlink, studies it. This is encrypted Imperial military band. Who are you calling? Vader's hand makes a gesture, medical, then points to himself. A doctor? Someone who knows how to work on your cybernetics? Vader nods. The gesture is minute, but Luke catches it. The boy activates the comlink, waits. The frequency crackles with static. No response. He's about to deactivate it when a voice emerges. Female. Professional. Tense. Identification code required or this transmission ends in 5 seconds. He doesn't know the code. Vader's hand moves to the datapad. His cybernetic fingers barely function, but he manages to input 6 characters, an alphanumeric sequence that means nothing to Luke, but identifies the caller to the person on the other end. Luke reads the code into the comlink. The voice on the other end goes silent, processing, verifying. Then she speaks again, quieter, cautious. You're broadcasting from a condemned maintenance sector beneath the Senate district. In the middle of martial law, either you're incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Which is it? Luke glances at Vader. Neither of them has an answer that doesn't confirm both. We need help, Luke says finally. Medical help. For cybernetic life support systems. Can you provide it or not? Another pause. Longer this time. The woman is calculating risk, weighing survival against whatever obligation the identification code represents. I can provide it. But not here. Not anywhere near the surface. There's an abandoned medical facility in Subsector 7. Level 13. It was a trauma center before the Senate closed the lower levels to civilian access. I'll meet you there in 2 hours. Come alone or don't come at all. The transmission ends. Luke deactivates the comlink. Looks at Vader. Level 13. 13 is 60 levels below the surface. The Undercity, where criminals and refugees hide from Imperial law. Getting you down there in your condition will be almost impossible. And that's assuming this person isn't leading us into a trap. Vader's hand moves, not pointing, grasping. He finds Luke's arm. Squeezes. The pressure is weak but intentional. Trust. Luke stares at the damaged gauntlet on his arm. At the hand that choked his mother on Mustafar. That killed Jedi by the dozens. That served the Emperor for 2 decades. The same hand that intercepted Palpatine's killing blow in the throne room. All right, the boy says. He stands, begins disconnecting the ventilator from Vader's helmet. But if this goes wrong, if we get captured or killed, I'm haunting you in the afterlife. Obi-Wan taught me how. The comment is absurd enough that Vader's optical sensors focus sharply on Luke. The boy is smiling. Actually smiling. Despite the burns and the pain and the impossible situation, there's Padme in that smile. The same stubborn optimism she carried through the Clone Wars. The same refusal to accept defeat, even when surrounded by evidence that hope was futile. Luke reconfigures the ventilator, removes it from the wall mount, attaches a portable power pack. The machine becomes a backpack connected to Vader's helmet through flexible tubing. Can you stand? Vader tries. His legs don't respond. The servos are dead. The hydraulics severed. He's essentially paralyzed from the waist down. Luke positions himself beside Vader. Luke's Vader's arm over his shoulders. The boy is small, barely 19, untrained, but he channels the Force instinctively, uses it to augment his strength. He lifts. Vader's mass should be impossible for someone Luke's size. 400 pounds of armor, and cybernetics and organic remains. But the Force bridges the gap between possible and necessary. They rise together, Vader's feet dragging, Luke's legs shaking with effort. You're heavier than you look, Luke grunts. Next time warn me before you gain weight. The joke is inappropriate. Mistimed, exactly what a 19-year-old farm boy would say to diffuse tension. Vader's damaged vocabulary produces a sound. Not a word, not quite a laugh, just a mechanical exhale that might be the closest he can come to appreciation. They move through the maintenance tunnel, slowly, Luke supporting most of Vader's weight, the ventilator on Luke's back cycling air into Vader's lungs through the makeshift connection. Every 50 meters, Luke has to stop, rest. His burned hands are screaming. His muscles are exhausted, but he doesn't complain, doesn't suggest giving up. They reach an access shaft, a vertical descent that plunges into darkness. No elevator, just maintenance rungs built into the wall. Luke stares down, then at Vader, then back down. This is impossible. I can barely carry you horizontally. I can't climb down 60 levels while supporting your weight. Vader's hand points down the shaft, then makes a falling motion. Luke's eyes widen. You want me to drop you? That will kill you. The fall, the impact. Your body can't survive that. Vader's hand moves to Luke's chest, rests over his heart, then points down again. Use the Force. Slow the descent. It's not a request. It's faith. Luke looks terrified. I've never done anything like that. Never even tried. Yoda taught me to lift rocks, not people. Especially not people who weigh 400 pounds. Vader's hand squeezes Luke's shoulder. The pressure is weak, but the meaning is clear. You can do this. I believe you can do this. Luke takes a shaking breath, positions himself at the edge of the shaft, looks down into the darkness. If this kills us both, I'm definitely haunting you. He steps off the edge and takes Vader with him. They fall into the abyss together, father and son, trusting the Force to bridge the gap between them. They don't die. Luke's control over the Force is crude, unpracticed, but desperation focuses the mind in ways that years of meditation cannot. He reaches out with everything he has, grabs the invisible fabric of reality and pulls. Their descent slows. Not smoothly, they drop in stuttering increments. 10 meters of free fall followed by sudden deceleration that makes Luke's nose bleed. Then another drop, another catch. The ventilator on his back bounces with each impact. The tubing connecting it to Vader's helmet strains but holds. They hit bottom after what feels like hours, but is probably 90 seconds. Luke collapses. Vader lands on top of him. 400 pounds of armored weight, crushing the boy into the Duracrete floor of level 13. Luke gasps, wheezes, pushes weakly at Vader's bulk. Off, get off, can't breathe. Vader can't move himself. His body is still paralyzed. Dead weight. He tries to shift using the Force, but his own reserves are depleted. Used up during the throne room fight, Luke squirms out from underneath, rolls away, lies on his back, staring at the ceiling 50 meters overhead. His breathing is ragged. His hands are shaking. Never again, he mutters. Next time you want to fall down a shaft, do it alone. The ventilator continues cycling. In, out, keeping Vader alive despite the impact. Despite everything. Luke sits up, looks around. Level 1313 is exactly what the stories say. The Undercity, Coruscant's foundation, where the wealthy upper levels dumped their refuse for millennia, until the refuse formed its own ecosystem. The lighting is bioluminescent fungus growing on walls. The air smells like chemicals and decay. Distant sounds echo through the darkness. Voices, machinery, things moving in the shadows that might be human or might be something else. Luke checks the datapad. The coordinates the woman gave him are 3 kilometers east, through territory controlled by gangs and smugglers, and people who would kill them for the armor alone. He looks at Vader, at the destroyed chest plate, the severed cables, the optical sensors that glow faintly in the dark. Can you do anything? Move at all? Because I can drag you 3 meters, not 3 kilometers. The only limb with partial function. He points at his belt, at a small device attached to the utility clips. Luke removes it, a repulsor unit, emergency equipment designed to provide lift in zero-gravity environments, useless for powered flight, but capable of reducing effective weight to near zero. This will work? Vader's hand makes a gesture. Maybe. Uncertain. Luke activates the repulsor, attaches it to Vader's back. The unit hums. Vader's body lifts slightly off the ground, not floating, just light enough that Luke can push him. It's better than dragging. Barely. They move through level 1313's corridors, Luke guiding Vader's floating body like a grotesque parade balloon. The repulsor unit flickers occasionally. Its power cell wasn't designed for loads this heavy. They pass groups huddled around burning trash. Vagrants, refugees, people who fell through the cracks of Imperial society and landed here. Most don't look up. Those who do take one glance at Vader's armor and look away quickly. Even here, even destroyed, Darth Vader's silhouette means death. 20 minutes into the journey, they're ambushed. 6 figures emerge from a side passage, armed with blasters and vibroblades. Their clothes are mismatched. Scavenged, the leader wears a Imperial officer's jacket with the insignia torn off. That's real durasteel, the leader says. He's looking at Vader's armor, calculating its resale value, and Imperial military grade, worth more than anything else in this sector. Drop it and walk away. Or don't walk away. Your choice. Luke's hand moves toward his lightsaber, still clipped to his belt. Damaged from the throne room fight but functional. We don't want trouble, we're just passing through. The leader laughs. Everyone's just passing through. Until they're not. Until they're dead and their equipment belongs to someone smarter. He raises his blaster, points it at Luke's chest. Last chance. Drop the armor. Vader's hand moves. Slow. Trembling. He reaches toward the nearest attacker. Not the leader, the one on the far left. A young human male barely older than Luke. The Force responds. Weak, barely controlled. But present, the young attacker's blaster tears itself from his grip, flies across the space, lands in the drainage canal running alongside the corridor. Gone. The leader's expression shifts. Confusion, then recognition. Force user, Jedi. He adjusts his aim. Points the blaster at Vader instead of Luke. Even better, Empire pays double for Jedi. Dead or alive. He fires. 3 bolts, center mass, aimed at Vader's already destroyed chest plate. Luke moves without thinking. His lightsaber ignites. The blue blade intercepts all 3 bolts. Molten duracrete drips to the floor. The attackers scatter, not running away, taking cover. This isn't their first fight. Blaster fire erupts from multiple positions. Luke's blade moves. Muscle memory from 3 weeks of frantic training with Obi-Wan and Yoda. His form is sloppy. His footwork is terrible. But he blocks what matters. Keeps the bolts away from Vader and the ventilator. One shot gets through. Strikes the repulsor unit on Vader's back. The device sparks, dies. Vader's body drops to the ground with the full weight of armor and cybernetics. The impact disconnects the ventilator tubing. Air stops flowing into Vader's helmet. Luke doesn't see it immediately. He's focused on the blasters, on staying alive. He blocks another salvo, advances toward the nearest attacker. His blade cuts through the duracrate barrier they're hiding behind. The attacker retreats, fires wildly. Behind Luke, Vader is suffocating. His organic lungs try to function. Damaged tissue attempts to expand. Fails. Without the external pressure from the ventilator, his chest doesn't move, doesn't pull air. His vision darkens, oxygen deprivation setting in within seconds. His right hand claws at the ground, trying to reach the disconnected tubing, trying to reattach it. The fingers can't grasp properly, can't manipulate the connection. 60 seconds until unconsciousness. Maybe 90. Luke finally notices. He sees Vader's hand moving, sees the disconnected tubing. Understands. He disengages from the fight, runs back to Vader, drops to his knees, grabs the tubing and jams it back into the helmet's intake port. The connection is poor, leaking, but air flows, pressurized oxygen forcing its way into Vader's lungs. The respirator sound returns, weak, irregular, but present. A blaster bolt hits Luke's shoulder. The impact spins him. He falls. His lightsaber skids across the floor, deactivates. The leader emerges from cover, approaches, his weapon trained on Luke's head. Should have taken the deal. Jedi. He pulls the trigger. The bolt stops midair, frozen, held in place by the Force. But not by Luke. The boy is barely conscious, clutching his burned shoulder. By Vader. His right hand is extended, shaking, every muscle fiber straining. The Force flowing through him in a way it hasn't since before the suit's destruction. Raw, unfiltered, channeled through pain and desperation and the absolute refusal to let his son die. The frozen bolt reverses direction, accelerates, strikes the leader in the chest. He drops, dead before hitting the ground. The remaining attackers see their leader fall, see Vader's hand still raised, see the kind of power that turned the tide of the Clone Wars and crushed the Jedi Order. They run, footsteps echoing through the Undercity. Gone. Vader's hand drops. The effort required to stop that single bolt exhausted what little strength remained. His optical sensors dim. Emergency power only. Luke crawls to his lightsaber, retrieves it, clips it to his belt, then returns to Vader. We need to keep moving, before they come back with reinforcements. He checks the shoulder wound. Superficial. The bolt grazed him, burned fabric and skin but didn't penetrate deep. He'll have another scar, another story. The repulsor unit is destroyed. Luke drags Vader the remaining distance, 2 kilometers of pulling 400 pounds across broken duracrete. His hands bleed, his muscles scream, but he doesn't stop. The abandoned medical facility appears like a mirage, a squat duracrate structure built into the foundation wall, blast doors sealed, windows dark, no signs of life. Luke approaches the entrance, hammers on the door with his fist. Nothing happens. He's about to try again when a voice speaks from a hidden speaker. "You're late." The blast doors open, revealing a woman in her 50s. Dark skin, gray hair pulled back, medical robes that were white once but are now gray from years of wear. She looks at Luke, at Vader, at the blood trail they left across the facility's entrance. "Well, this is worse than I expected. Get him inside before someone sees." Luke drags Vader across the threshold. The doors seal behind them, magnetic locks engage. The interior is cleaner than the exterior suggested. Medical equipment lines the walls, most of it scavenged, repaired. Some pieces are clearly Imperial military grade. Others are decades old. All of it functional. The woman helps Luke lift Vader onto an examination table. Her hands move with practiced efficiency, checking connections, assessing damage. "I'm Dr. Afra. I served on Polis Massa during the Clone Wars. Worked with another patient who had extensive cybernetic integration. Your identification code referenced that case, which means you're either the patient or someone he trusted enough to share his codes with." She looks at Vader's optical sensors. "Based on the armor configuration and the fact that the Empire is tearing Coruscant apart looking for you, I'm going to guess you're the patient. Lord Vader, the Emperor's attack dog. What an honor." Her tone makes clear it's not an honor at all. Luke steps between them, protective. "Can you help him or not?" Afra circles the table, examining. The respirator is destroyed. The power pack is severed. Most of the cybernetic control interfaces are fried. Life support is being maintained by external ventilation only. In short, he's a corpse being puppeted by a machine that's failing. She pauses. "But yes, I can help. The question is, why should I? Because he's trying to stop the Emperor. Because he saved my life. All very touching, but I've seen what he's done. I was on Polis Massa when Padme Amidala died, when her children were born and then hidden because their father became a monster. I held those babies. Leia and Luke, sent them to families that would keep them safe from him. Oh," Luke goes very still. You knew I was his son. I suspected the moment I saw you on the news feeds, fighting for the rebellion. Same face as Padme, same eyes. Too much coincidence to be anything else." She looks at Vader. "Does he know you're one of the children I helped hide from him?" Vader's hand moves. A gesture. "Yes. And you still fought for him? Still saved him?" "He's my father," Luke says simply. "And he's changing, trying to be better than what he was." Afra laughs. It's bitter. People don't change. Not fundamentally. The best you can hope for is they learn to hide their nature better. She walks to a medical supply cabinet, begins pulling components, cybernetic parts, control modules. Her movements are automatic, professional. "But I'm not doing this for him. I'm doing it for the memory of Padme Amidala. She believed there was still good in Anakin Skywalker, even after everything he did. If she could believe that, maybe I can believe he's worth saving. Maybe." She returns to the table, begins disconnecting Vader's damaged chest plate. The work is brutal, tearing away destroyed components, exposing the organic body beneath. What she reveals makes Luke turn away, makes him understand what his father became on Mustafar. Charred flesh, cybernetic implants fused directly into ribs, mechanical lungs visible through gaps in tissue, a heart that beats only because machines tell it to. This is what Palpatine created, what Vader became. Afra doesn't flinch. She's seen worse, done worse. She works with mechanical precision, replacing destroyed components with scavenged equivalents, bypassing fried circuits, restoring basic functionality. "This won't be pretty," she says, "and it won't last long, maybe a month before these parts fail. But it will keep him alive until you find better resources." Hours pass. Luke watches, learns, sees how the cybernetics interface with flesh, how pain is managed through constant chemical injections, how every breath requires dozens of systems working in harmony. His father lives in constant agony, has lived in it for 23 years. Finally, Afra steps back. Her hands are covered in blood and hydraulic fluid. The respirator is functional. Basic life support restored. Cybernetic control should return to his limbs within the hour as the new neural interfaces calibrate. He'll be weak, vulnerable, but alive. The mechanical breathing starts. Not the smooth cycle from before. This is rougher, louder, but present. Vader's optical sensors brighten, focus on Afra, then on Luke. His vocabulator activates. The voice is distorted, damaged, but words form. Thank you. Afra wipes her hands on a rag. Don't thank me yet. The Empire knows you're alive, knows you betrayed Palpatine. Every bounty hunter, every Imperial agent, every opportunist on this planet is looking for you. Staying on Coruscant is suicide. Where do we go? Luke asks. Afra considers there's only one place the Emperor might hesitate to follow. One place that holds significance to Vader's past. Mustafar. The planet where Anakin Skywalker died and Darth Vader was born. Palpatine built a fortress there, Vader's personal stronghold. If you can reach it, you'll have defensible ground and resources. Vader's hand clenches. The servos respond. Slowly, clumsily. But they respond. Mustafar. The planet of his greatest failure, his greatest pain. The place he swore never to return to. Can you get us off Coruscant? Luke asks. Afra smiles. It's not a kind expression. I know people, smugglers, criminals, the kind who don't ask questions if the credits are good. But you'll owe me, and I collect debts. Done. She walks to a communication terminal, begins transmitting on encrypted frequencies. Negotiating passage off-world for two very wanted fugitives. Luke sits beside Vader's examination table, takes his father's hand. The cybernetic fingers close around his organic ones. Mustafar, Luke says quietly, where it all began. Vader's vocabulator produces a sound, almost a sigh. Where it ends. The smuggler's ship is a YT, 2400 freighter, old, barely holding together, the kind of vessel that makes the Kessel run by avoiding Imperial patrols rather than outrunning them. The captain is a Duros named Shriv. He takes one look at Vader's armor and doubles his price, then looks at Luke's desperate expression and doubles it again. Mustafar is deep in Imperial space, past 3 security checkpoints, through sectors crawling with Star Destroyers looking for you specifically. And you want me to drop you on the most fortified planet in the Outer Rim? The fee is 500,000 credits. We don't have that, Luke says. Shriv shrugs. His species doesn't have the musculature for human expressions, but the gesture translates. Then you don't have transport. Vader's hand moves to his belt, removes a small cylinder, tosses it to Shriv. The Duros catches it, examines it. His large eyes widen. This is an Imperial command cipher, the kind admirals use to override security protocols. Worth more than credits to the right buyer. Or to me if I want to move freely through Imperial space for the next decade. He pockets the cylinder. We leave in 20 minutes. Don't touch anything. Don't talk to my crew. And if we get boarded, you were never here. The ship launches from level 1313's hidden docking bay, rises through Coruscant's lower atmosphere. The city spreads below them, endless towers. Billions of souls, the Empire's beating heart. Imperial patrols are everywhere. TIE fighters sweeping search patterns, cruisers positioned at every major traffic lane. The lockdown is absolute. Shriv navigates through it like water through cracks. Small adjustments, unexpected vectors. The ship broadcasts a maintenance company transponder. Nothing worth a second look. They reach orbit, join the queue for hyperspace departure clearance, 12 ships ahead of them, each one being scanned, searched, crews interrogated. Luke watches through the cockpit viewport, his hands grip the armrests. Every minute they wait increases the chance of discovery. Vader sits in the cargo hold. His systems are still calibrating. The new components Afra installed aren't integrating smoothly with his existing cybernetics. His left leg drags when he walks. His respirator catches every 5th breath. The vocabulator produces static randomly, but he's functional, more than he was in the maintenance tunnel. Enough to fight if necessary. The ship ahead of them completes inspection. Cleared for departure, they move up in the queue. 11 ships remaining. Luke returns to the cargo hold, sits across from Vader. The space between them feels larger than the physical distance. When we get to Mustafar, Luke says, "What happens? Do we hide in your fortress until the Empire forgets about us? Wait for the rebellion to use your intelligence against Palpatine? What's the plan?" Vader's optical sensors focus on him. The plan. As if there was ever a plan beyond survival, beyond keeping Luke alive long enough to have a future. His vocabulator activates. The voice is mechanical, harsh, but clearer than it was in Afra's facility. Mustafar is where Anakin Skywalker died, where I became what Palpatine needed. The fortress there was built on a dark side vergence, a wound in the Force. I used it to amplify my power, to connect with the Emperor across light years. He pauses. The respirator cycles. But vergences work both ways. They amplify, they connect. If Palpatine can reach me through it, I can reach him, and if I can reach him, I can kill him. From Mustafar? No, I'm going to lure him there, make him come to me, on ground where I have every advantage, where the dark side vergence strengthens me and where I know every passage, every defense, every weakness. That's insane. He'll bring armies, fleets, everything the Empire has. Yes, which is why you won't be there. You'll take my intelligence to the rebellion, help them coordinate with the Moffs who support Order 65, build a coalition strong enough to hold the Empire together after Palpatine dies, because someone needs to prevent the chaos that follows. I'm not leaving you to fight him alone. I just spent the last day keeping you alive. I'm not abandoning you now. You're not abandoning me. You're fulfilling the purpose. My rebellion was never about seizing power. It was about removing Palpatine before he destroys you, turns you into what I became. If you survive and I die, that's victory. That's not victory. That's suicide. Vader's hand reaches out, rests on Luke's shoulder. The gesture is awkward, unpracticed. He hasn't touched another person with kindness in decades. I killed your mother, massacred the Jedi, served evil for 23 years. Death isn't punishment. It's appropriate conclusion. But your life, your future, that matters. That's worth fighting for. Luke's eyes are wet. He doesn't cry, but the moisture is there. You're wrong. About all of it. You didn't kill my mother. Palpatine did. You were a weapon he used. And weapons can be reforged. Can choose new purposes. The ship shudders. Inspection droids have attached to the hull. Scanning, probing. Shriv's voice comes through the intercom. Imperial boarding team requesting access. Stay quiet. Let me handle this. Luke extinguishes the overhead lights. They sit in darkness broken only by Vader's optical sensors and the faint glow of control panels. Footsteps echo through the ship. Stormtroopers. Maybe 6 of them. Shriv's voice carries from the cockpit. Casual, bored. He's explaining the maintenance transponder, showing forged documents, playing the role of an ordinary smuggler with nothing to hide. One set of footsteps approaches the cargo hold, stops outside the sealed door. Luke's hand moves to his lightsaber. Vader's hand stops him. No, fighting alerts the entire blockade. They need stealth. Misdirection. Vader reaches out through the Force. Not broadly, precisely. He touches the mind on the other side of the door. Stormtrooper. Low level. Following procedure, the Force whispers, "Nothing to see here. Move along." The footsteps retreat. Return to the entry ramp. The boarding team's leader thanks Shriv for his cooperation. Apologizes for the delay. Standard security protocols during the emergency. They leave. The inspection droids detach. The ship's clearance comes through moments later. Shriv sets course for the hyperspace jump point. The stars elongate. Space folds. They leap into the blue tunnel of faster-than-light travel. Luke releases a breath he didn't know he was holding. That was too close. It will get closer. The Empire owns Mustafar's approach vectors. We'll be detected the moment we enter the system. Every defense platform will target us. Every garrison will mobilize. I'll transmit my personal authorization codes. They'll recognize my transponder, grant us passage, but it will also alert Palpatine that I've returned. Give him my exact location. He'll come. And he'll bring everything. The journey through hyperspace takes 18 hours. Luke sleeps fitfully in one of the crew bunks, dreams of lightning and falling and his father's broken body beneath Coruscant's surface. Vader doesn't sleep. His systems don't require rest the way organic bodies do. He stands in the cargo hold, meditating, not Jedi meditation. Sith focus, channeling the dark side, preparing for what comes. The Force responds, flows through his damaged body. The pain becomes fuel, the anger becomes clarity, but underneath something else stirs, something that isn't entirely dark or light, the gray space between extremes that he touched in the throne room. Balance, not through eliminating one side, through accepting both. The ship drops out of hyperspace. Mustafar resolves in the viewport, a burning sphere of lava rivers and volcanic eruptions, the planet where he lost everything, where Padme died and Anakin burned, and Vader was born. Shriv's voice over the intercom. We're being hailed. Multiple Imperial Star Destroyers in orbit. Defense platforms are locking weapons. I need those authorization codes now or we're atoms. Vader moves to the communications console, inputs the sequence, his personal command cipher, the one that identifies him as the Emperor's enforcer. The Dark Lord of the Sith, the targeting locks disengage. A response comes through. Female voice, professional, tense. Lord Vader, we were not informed of your arrival. The Emperor has declared you a traitor to the Empire. All standing orders are to apprehend or destroy on sight. Please clarify your status. Vader's vocabulator crackles. My status is unchanged. I am returning to my fortress on Imperial business. Grant landing clearance immediately. The garrison commander is calculating, weighing standing orders against direct confrontation with Vader. Even betrayed, even hunted, his reputation still carries weight. Clearance granted. But I'm notifying the Emperor of your presence. Whatever you're planning, Lord Vader, you won't have long to execute it. The transmission ends. The orbital defenses stand down. The path to Mustafar's surface opens. Shriv navigates toward the coordinates Vader provides. The fortress comes into view, a black pyramid rising from a lava plain. Obsidian and durasteel, built directly over the vergence where Vader meditated after his transformation, where he touched the dark side in its purest form. They land on the fortress's primary platform. The ramp extends. Heat shimmers in the air, the smell of sulfur and burning rock. Luke descends first, looks at the landscape, at the rivers of lava flowing between black stone formations, at the place where his father lost his humanity. This is where it happened, where you fought Obi-Wan. Yes, 3 kilometers from here, on the banks of a lava river. He cut off my legs and my arm, left me burning. Palpatine arrived hours later. By then, the damage was irreversible. Luke turns to face him. Why did you build a fortress here? Why surround yourself with the reminder? And forgetting pain makes you weak. The Emperor taught me that. Made me internalize it. This fortress was supposed to be a monument to my transformation, a place where I could embrace what I became. Vader walks down the ramp. His footsteps echo against durasteel. Behind him, Shriv's ship is already preparing to depart. The Duros wants no part of what comes next. The ship lifts off, disappears into Mustafar's ash-filled sky. They're alone now, father and son standing in the heart of darkness. The fortress doors open, no one emerges, no garrison, no droids. Vader cleared the structure years ago, wanted isolation, wanted a place where even Palpatine's spies couldn't reach. They enter. The interior is vast, cathedral-like. The walls are carved with Sith glyphs, ancient language, prophecies and histories that predate the Empire by millennia. At the chamber's center is the meditation sphere, a floating orb of black metal, the place where Vader communed with the dark side, where he felt closest to the power that sustained him. Luke approaches it, stops 5 meters away. The force here is different, heavier, like atmosphere at the bottom of an ocean, pressing down, suffocating. I can feel it, the dark side. It's everywhere, in the walls, the floor, the air itself. The vergence, it amplifies force sensitivity, makes even weak users powerful, but it also corrupts, twists, turns strength into obsession. Vader moves to a control console, begins inputting commands, activating the fortress's defenses, raising shields, powering weapon systems that have been dormant for years. How long until Palpatine arrives? The garrison commander transmitted my location. The Emperor will receive it within minutes. He'll mobilize immediately. Deploy the closest Star Destroyer battle group. Assemble his royal guard. He'll arrive within 12 hours. Maybe less if he uses his personal shuttle at maximum velocity. 12 hours to prepare to fight the most powerful Sith Lord in history, with just the two of us. Vader's optical sensors focus on Luke. No. 12 hours for you to leave. To escape while you can. To take my intelligence to the rebellion and ensure my death serves a purpose. I already told you I'm not leaving. And I'm telling you this isn't your fight. You're 19 years old. Barely trained. You have potential, but potential isn't enough against Palpatine. He'll kill you, and your death accomplishes nothing except giving him satisfaction. Luke's hand goes to his lightsaber. Then train me. We have 12 hours. Use them. Teach me what I need to know to survive what's coming. Wants to ensure the boy lives even if it means stunning him unconscious and shipping him to the rebellion in a cargo container. But he sees Padme in Luke's expression. The same stubborn determination, the same refusal to abandon people she loved. She stayed on Mustafar when she should have run. Died trying to reach him when self-preservation screamed to flee. Luke is her son, in the ways that matter. He won't run either. 12 hours won't make you a master, won't even make you competent, but it might keep you alive long enough to matter. Then let's begin. Vader leads Luke deeper into the fortress, to a training chamber he used to practice combat forms. The room is circular, reinforced walls capable of withstanding lightsaber strikes. Scorch marks cover the floor from years of aggressive practice. He ignites his lightsaber. The crimson blade hums, not the clean sound from before. The damaged kyber crystal creates dissonance, instability. Form V, Gem So, aggressive defense. It's what I used most often. What you'll need against an opponent stronger than you. Block their attack and counter with overwhelming force. Make every defense an offense. Luke ignites his own blade. Blue light fills the chamber. They begin. For 12 hours. Father teaches son. Not meditation or detachment or balance through peace. War. Survival. The brutal calculus of killing someone before they kill you. Luke learns fast. The Force guides his movements, compensates for lack of experience. By hour 6, his parries are reflexive. By hour 10, his counters draw blood. Vader doesn't hold back. Strikes at full strength, forces Luke to defend or suffer consequences. The boy collects bruises, burns, a cut across his forearm when his guard drops. But he doesn't complain. Doesn't ask for rest. He fights. Learns. Adapts. The final 2 hours, they don't practice forms. They practice survival. Vader attacks without warning. From any angle. Using environment, using psychology, teaching Luke that combat isn't ritual. It's chaos with lethal consequences. When the training ends, Luke collapses, exhausted, his body pushed beyond limits, his mind overloaded with technique and instinct. Vader stands over him, breathing mechanically. The respirator's sound fills the chamber. You won't beat him, even with everything I taught you, even with the Force guiding you. Palpatine has fought for decades, mastered techniques that don't have names. You'll die if you face him directly. Luke looks up, sweat dripping down his face. Then what do? You survive. You adapt. You refuse to give him what he expects. And if an opening appears, you take it without hesitation. An alarm sounds throughout the fortress. The long-range sensors detecting multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. Imperial Star Destroyers, dozens of them, forming a blockade around Mustafar. And among them, one ship different from the rest, sleek, black, emitting dark side energy that radiates through the Force like radiation. The Emperor's personal shuttle. Palpatine has arrived. The Emperor's shuttle descends through Mustafar's volcanic atmosphere like a blade through flesh. Black hull reflecting lava light. No escort. No support craft. Just Palpatine and his arrogance. Vader watches from the fortress's observation deck. Luke stands beside him. The boy's breathing is still labored from 12 hours of brutal training. His hands grip his lightsaber hilt with white knuckles. He's alone, Luke says. No royal guard. No troopers. Just him. He doesn't need guards. He is the weapon. Everything else is theater. The shuttle lands on the fortress's main platform. The same platform where Vader's ship landed a lifetime ago when this structure was being constructed, when he still believed serving the Emperor was his only purpose. The ramp extends. Steam rises from the lava flows surrounding the landing pad. The heat is enough to melt flesh in seconds. Palpatine descends in robes that don't even ripple in the superheated wind. His presence in the Force is overwhelming. not subtle like on Coruscant where he concealed himself among billions of souls. Here, in this place of dark side concentration, he blazes, a star of corruption that drowns out everything else. Vader feels it pressing against his consciousness, demanding submission, the same pressure he's felt for 23 years, the weight that turned a Jedi Knight into the Emperor's attack dog. Luke staggers, his knees buckle. The sheer intensity of Palpatine's presence is too much for someone who's been training for weeks instead of decades. Vader's hand catches him, steadies him, channels the Force to create a barrier, not blocking Palpatine's power, just filtering it, making it bearable. "You need to leave now," Vader says. His vocabulary is steady despite everything. "Take the escape passage to the lower levels. There's a ship in the maintenance bay. Emergency transport. Go." "No. You'll just become a liability," he exploits. Luke straightens, pushes away from Vader's support. "You taught me for 12 hours, trained me to survive, but you didn't teach me to run." Before Vader can respond, Palpatine's voice echoes through the fortress, amplified by the Force, coming from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. "Lord Vader, my wayward apprentice, I felt you the moment you arrived, felt your presence in this place we built together. Did you really believe you could hide from me in my own creation?" The words aren't transmitted through speakers. They manifest directly in Vader's mind, in Luke's mind. Invasive, unavoidable. Vader activates the fortress's internal calm. His voice broadcasts to every chamber, every corridor. "This was never your creation. You gave me plans. I built it. I consecrated it with my pain. It's mine. And you're trespassing." Palpatine's laugh reverberates through the structure. Semantics. "Everything you are is mine. Every skill, every technique, every breath you take exists because I permit it. Come face me. Let's end this charade of rebellion." Vader looks at Luke one final time. "Stay here, no matter what you hear, no matter what you feel. Don't follow me into the meditation chamber. Father, promise me." His eyes are wet but defiant. "I can't. Then I'm walking into this knowing you'll die because of your stubbornness, just like your mother died because of mine." The words hit Luke like a physical blow. Vader turns before seeing the impact fully register, walks toward the meditation chamber. His footsteps echo through corridors carved from obsidian and rage. The chamber doors open. The meditation sphere hovers at the center. Palpatine stands beneath it, robes pooling around his feet, yellow eyes burning in shadows cast by his hood. "You've damaged yourself further," the Emperor observes. "The cybernetics are inferior, scavenged. Your respirator sounds like it's failing. Did you really think this broken shell could challenge me?" Vader ignites his lightsaber. The crimson blade screams. Unstable, the damaged kyber crystal creates flickering patterns in the light. "I don't need to challenge you. I just need to kill you." With what? Determination? Sentiment? The pathetic belief that love makes you stronger? Palpatine raises his hands. Lightning builds between his fingers. "I will show you what strength actually means." The lightning erupts, not in controlled bursts, full power, the kind that killed Jedi Masters during the Purge. Blue-white energy fills the chamber, strikes every surface simultaneously. Vader's blade intercepts what it can. The rest hits his armor, conducts through damaged systems. His vocabulary screams static. Warning klaxons fill his helmet's display. But he doesn't fall, doesn't retreat. He advances. One step, then another, walking through the lightning like it's rain instead of concentrated death. Palpatine's expression shifts, surprise bleeding into fury. "Impossible. Your suit should be frying. Your systems should be offline. Aphra built them to withstand Force lightning. She learned from what you did to me on Coruscant. Every component is insulated. Every circuit is redundant. You can't kill me the way you killed the others." Vader closes the distance. His blade comes down in an overhead strike. Palpatine ignites his own lightsaber. Red meets red. The impact creates a shockwave that cracks the chamber floor. They separate. Circle. The meditation sphere above them rotates slowly, indifferent to the violence below. "Clever," Palpatine admits. "You planned for my lightning, prepared countermeasures, but you can't prepare for everything." He attacks. Not with his lightsaber, with the Force itself. The vergence beneath the fortress responds to his will. Dark side energy concentrates, becomes physical, manifests as pressure that crushes from all directions. Vader's armor groans. Durasteel plates compress. Cybernetic joints lock. The respirator struggles against forces trying to prevent inhalation. But he's felt this before, experienced this exact technique in the Coruscant throne room. Knows how it works, how it kills. He stops resisting, accepts the pressure, channels it through his body instead of against it. The dark side flows through him, becomes him, uses the crushing force as fuel. His lightsaber moves, impossibly fast, strikes at Palpatine's exposed flank. The Emperor blocks, barely. His curved hilt redirects the blow, but he's forced to release the crushing technique to defend properly. They engage in earnest. Lightsaber combat refined across centuries of Sith tradition. Palpatine's Form 2 Makashi against Vader's Form V Gem So. Precision versus power. Elegance versus brutality. The chamber becomes a storm. Red light reflects off obsidian walls. Lava flows visible through the observation windows provide the only other illumination. The heat is intense enough that the air shimmers. Palpatine fights with a smile. He's enjoying this. The challenge, the opportunity to demonstrate superiority. His blade work is perfect. Every parry minimal. Every riposte exactly aimed. "You're stronger than on Coruscant," he says between exchanges. "The desperation suits you, but strength without wisdom is just flailing. And you were never wise, my apprentice. Only powerful." Conversation is distraction. He focuses on the rhythm, the pattern, looking for the opening Palpatine's arrogance creates. Behind him, the chamber doors open. Luke stands in the entrance, lightsaber ignited, face set with determination that looks exactly like Padme's expression before she boarded the ship to Mustafar. Palpatine sees him, smiles wider. "The boy joins us. How perfect, I can kill you both and save time." He disengages from Vader, turns toward Luke, raises his free hand. Lightning erupts. Luke's blade intercepts it. The training Vader gave him saves his life. He channels the energy into the floor, holds position, doesn't retreat. "Very good," Palpatine says. "Your father taught you well, but technique isn't everything." He intensifies the lightning, branches it, creates multiple streams that attack from different angles. Luke's defense breaks. The lightning hits him. He screams, falls. Vader attacks Palpatine's exposed back, his blade aimed at the spine. Killing blow. The Emperor spins. Impossibly fast, his lightsaber blocks the strike centimeters from his body. His other hand extends toward Vader. Force push at point-blank range. Vader is thrown backward, crashes into the meditation sphere. The impact shatters the floating orb. Fragments rain across the chamber. The dark side vergence beneath them pulses. Destabilized, Luke is on the ground, convulsing, the lightning still arcing across his body even though Palpatine's hand is no longer directed at him. The dark side energy in the chamber sustains the attack, feeds it. "Your son suffers," Palpatine says. He's looking at Vader, studying his reaction. "I can end his pain, or prolong it. The choice is yours. Kneel, submit, return to your place as my apprentice, or watch him die slowly." Vader stands. His armor is cracked. His respirator is failing again. Every system screams warnings. He looks at Luke, at his son writhing in agony. The same agony Vader endured countless times. The same torture Palpatine used to break him into obedience. The Emperor expects submission, expects Vader to choose his son's life over his rebellion, to return to slavery rather than watch Luke die. But Vader learned something in that Coruscant maintenance tunnel, when Luke refused to abandon him despite every logical reason to run, when the boy chose loyalty over survival. Love isn't weakness, it's strength that doesn't break. He deactivates his lightsaber. The blade disappears. Palpatine's expression shows satisfaction. At last, you remember your place. Vader removes his helmet. The seals disengage with a hiss of pressurized air. The mask comes away, reveals the face beneath. Pale skin, burn scars, features that were handsome once but are now a ruin. Eyes that are blue, not yellow. Blue like they were before Mustafar, before the dark side consumed everything. "I remember exactly what I am," Vader says. His voice is organic, damaged, raw, but human. "I'm Anakin Skywalker, Jedi Knight, and I choose my son over your empire." He drops the helmet. The mask that defined him for 23 years clatters against the stone floor. Palpatine's smile vanishes. You dare. I do more than dare. I end this. Anakin extends both hands, not toward Palpatine, toward the Vergence beneath them, the dark side nexus that powers the fortress, that amplifies Force abilities to impossible levels. He doesn't channel it. He destroys it. The technique has no name, doesn't exist in Jedi or Sith teachings. It's pure instinct, the Force responding to will that refuses compromise. He grabs the Vergence, the concentrated dark side energy that's festered here for millennia, and he doesn't corrupt it toward light, doesn't purify it, he annihilates it. Tears the wound in the Force closed through absolute conviction. The fortress shakes, the foundation cracks, the dark side energy that sustained Palpatine's lightning dissipates. Luke stops convulsing. The Emperor staggers as his primary power source vanishes. What have you done? Palpatine's voice is no longer calm, no longer amused. The Vergence was irreplaceable. Do you understand what you've destroyed? I understand perfectly. I destroyed your advantage, your amplifier. Now we fight as equals. The structure was built on the Vergence, supported by dark side energy as much as physical foundation. Without it, the obsidian walls cracked, the ceiling fragments. Lava begins seeping through the floor. The fortress is sinking into Mustafar's molten surface. Luke crawls toward his lightsaber. His body is burned, damaged, but alive. He grabs the hilt, uses it to pull himself upright. Palpatine sees them both, father and son, standing together. Defiant, his fury becomes incandescent. He raises both hands. Lightning erupts from every finger. Not controlled, not measured. Pure rage channeled through the dark side. The attack fills the entire chamber. There's no dodging, no blocking, just overwhelming power. Anakin steps in front of Luke, takes the lightning fully. His body convulses. The scavenged cybernetics Aphra installed begin failing. Circuits fry. Servos lock. The respirator dies. But he doesn't fall. He stands, arms spread, creating a barrier with his own body, protecting his son the way he failed to protect Padme. Luke sees his father dying, sees him sacrificing everything. The boy's hand extends, not toward Palpatine, toward Anakin, channeling the Force. Not dark side, not light side, something between. The gray space where love becomes power. The energy flows from Luke into Anakin, sustaining him, keeping his organic body alive, even as the cybernetics fail. They're connected through the Force in ways Palpatine never understood, never valued. Blood, family, the bond that transcends philosophy. Together, they withstand the Emperor's assault. Father's dark side mastery merged with son's untrained potential, creating something neither Jedi nor Sith anticipated. Balance through unity. The lightning stops. Palpatine is breathing hard. His reserves aren't infinite. Even he has limits. Anakin collapses. His body can't stand without the cybernetics. Luke catches him, lowers him to the cracking floor. I can't move, Anakin says. His organic voice is barely audible. The cybernetics are destroyed. But you can. You need to run, get to the emergency transport, escape while the fortress collapses. Not without you. I'm already dead. This body won't survive without life support. But you can live. You can finish what we started. A support beam crashes down between them and Palpatine. The Emperor raises his hand to clear it, but the dark side doesn't respond the way it should. The Vergence is gone. His power is diminished. Luke looks at his father, at the man who was Darth Vader, who became Anakin Skywalker again in the moment that mattered most. I'm not leaving you. He lifts Anakin, channels the Force, uses it to augment strength that shouldn't be sufficient, carries his father toward the chamber's emergency exit. Palpatine sees them escaping, raises his hand, lightning builds, the ceiling collapses. Tons of obsidian and durasteel crash down. Not on Luke and Anakin, on Palpatine. The Emperor disappears beneath the rubble. His scream echoes through the dying fortress, then cuts off abruptly. Luke runs, carrying his father through corridors filling with lava, through passages collapsing behind them. The emergency transport bay is 3 levels down. The stairs are breaking apart. He jumps, uses the Force to cushion their fall, lands in the bay. The transport shuttle is old, barely maintained, but it has engines and fuel. He gets Anakin into the passenger compartment, straps him in, runs to the cockpit. The controls are unfamiliar but basic. Throttle, steering, launch. The engines ignite. The shuttle lifts off as the bay floor splits open. Lava erupts beneath them. The fortress is being swallowed. Consumed by the planet that created Darth Vader, they rise through the collapsing structure, break free into Mustafar's atmosphere. Behind them, the fortress implodes, sinks into the lava flows. Gone. The Star Destroyers in orbit haven't moved. They're waiting for orders, for the Emperor to return and command them. Those orders will never come. Luke sets course for the nearest hyperspace jump point. The shuttle's engines scream, pushed beyond their safety limits, but they hold. In the passenger compartment, Anakin lies strapped to a medical bench. His breathing is shallow, unassisted. His organic lungs are trying, but they're too damaged. He has minutes at most. Luke engages the autopilot, runs back to his father, kneels beside him. "We made it. We're away. You killed him. You killed Palpatine." Anakin's eyes focus on Luke. Blue eyes, clear despite the pain. Maybe, maybe not. He's survived worse. But even if he didn't die, we hurt him. Destroyed his fortress. His vengeance. That matters. His hand finds Luke's. Organic fingers gripping organic fingers. "You were right. About everything. There was still good in me. You found it. Saved it. You saved yourself. You chose. I chose you. Just like she did. Just like Padme chose love over fear. Over logic. Over everything that said it was impossible." His breathing becomes more labored. Each word is a struggle. "Tell her. Tell your mother. If you ever find a way, tell her she was right. Tell her Anakin Skywalker came back. You'll tell her yourself. I'll find a way to keep you alive. There are medical facilities, cybernetic specialists. We'll rebuild your suit. Better than before." It transforms his ruined features. Makes him look almost like the young Jedi from Old Hollows, the one who believed he could save everyone. "No more suits, no more machines. I'm ready to rest." His grip loosens, his chest stops moving, the struggle ends. Anakin Skywalker dies in his son's arms. Free, human, himself. Luke holds him, doesn't move, doesn't speak, just sits with his father's body as the shuttle hurtles through space toward an uncertain future. Behind them, Mustafar burns. The Emperor's fate unknown. The Empire leaderless. The galaxy waiting to see what rises from the ashes. But in this moment, in this small shuttle escaping a dying world, only one thing matters. Hope survived, and sometimes hope is enough. 6 months later, the rebellion's new base occupies an abandoned Republic medical station orbiting Polis Massa, far enough from Imperial space to avoid immediate detection, close enough to coordinate with the Moff coalition that's tearing the Empire apart from within. Luke Skywalker stands in the command center. 25 now by some measure, still 19 by calendar, but the months since Mustafar aged him in ways time alone cannot account for. His face carries scars. Lightning burns on his neck, a cut across his left cheek from training with his father. He wears Jedi robes now, not the pristine white of the old order. Gray, the color of ash and compromise and survival. Admiral Akbar is briefing the command staff. Holographic displays show the fragmented empire. 3 major factions, dozens of minor ones, warlords carving out territories, Moffs declaring independence, the careful order Palpatine maintained for 2 decades disintegrating into chaos. Grand Moff Tanith controls the core worlds, Akbar says. His Mon Calamari features show satisfaction. He's declared neutrality, withdrawn Imperial forces from contested systems, opened negotiations with the rebellion for a permanent ceasefire. "What about the Outer Rim?" Mon Mothma asks. She sits at the council table, flanked by Bail Organa and General Dodonna, the rebellion's leadership. Smaller than it was, many died when Palpatine's forces counterattacked after Mustafar, but intact. Functioning, Admiral Thrawn holds the Outer Rim territories. He's fortified his position, declared himself protector of Imperial stability. He's not attacking us, but he's not surrendering either. Stalemate. And the Emperor? The question comes from Leia Organa. She stands beside her adoptive father, 19 years old, a diplomat who watched Alderaan almost burn when Palpatine's loyalists tried to make an example of rebel sympathizers. She survived because Bail evacuated the Senate in time. But the attempt left scars. Akbar's expression darkens. Unknown. No confirmed sightings since Mustafar. Some reports claim he died in the fortress collapse. Others say he escaped, went into hiding to rebuild his strength. Intelligence is inconclusive. Luke says nothing. He watched the fortress fall, watched tons of obsidian bury Palpatine, but he also knows what the Emperor is capable of. Knows that Sith Lords don't die easily. The briefing continues. Discussions of supply lines and diplomatic overtures, and the slow process of rebuilding a galaxy. Luke only half listens. His attention is elsewhere. After the meeting, he walks to the station's medical wing. The halls are quiet. Most personnel are in the command center or the hangar bays. This section houses only long-term patients, those too damaged to return to active service. He enters a private room, sealed, climate-controlled, kept at specific temperature and humidity to prevent degradation. Anakin Skywalker's body rests on a medical slab, preserved, not frozen, just maintained. Luke couldn't bring himself to cremate his father, couldn't perform the Jedi funeral rites that would reduce him to ash. Not yet. Not until he's certain Palpatine is truly dead. Not until the war is finished and peace is real rather than temporary. He sits beside the slab, takes his father's hand. The skin is cold, waxy, but still recognizably human. Still the hand that saved him in the throne room, that intercepted Palpatine's killing blow. We're winning, Luke says. He talks to his father every day, knows it's irrational, knows the dead don't hear, but it helps, makes the grief manageable. The Empire is fracturing exactly how you predicted. The Moffs are choosing stability over loyalty. Order 65 worked, even without you transmitting it. The intelligence you gave Quinlan was enough, proof that Palpatine orchestrated everything, that he was never trying to save the Republic, just control it. He pauses. The room's life support hums, maintains the temperature. I met her, Leia, my sister. Your daughter, she doesn't know yet. About us, about you. I'm waiting for the right time, waiting until she can hear it without immediately hating me for being your son. The door opens. Ashoka Tano enters. She's been a constant presence since Mustafar, training Luke, sharing stories about Anakin before the fall, trying to reconcile the man she knew with the monster he became. You're talking to him again, she observes, not judging, understanding. He's the only one who'd understand what comes next. Ashoka moves to stand beside the slab, looks at Anakin's face, the scars, the burns, the cost of decades in the suit. He looks peaceful. More than he ever did in the armor. He died free. That's something. It's everything. She places a hand on Luke's shoulder. He spent 23 years in chains. The last thing he did was break them. Die on his own terms. Protecting you. That's not a small thing. Luke nods, can't speak. The grief is too close to the surface. Ashoka gives him space, walks to the viewport. Polis Mass's asteroid field rotates slowly beyond the transparasteel. The Council wants to rebuild, she says. Reformed Jedi Order. New rules. New philosophy. They've asked me to help lead it. Will you? I don't know. I left the Order once, walked away because their rigidity almost got me killed. Not sure I can go back, even to a reformed version. What will you do instead? She turns, meets his eyes. Train you properly, not the crash course your father gave you. Real Jedi training. Forms, philosophy, history, everything the Order should have taught Anakin and didn't. I'm not sure I want to be a Jedi, not the old kind, not even the new kind. What do you want to be? Who found something between extremes? Something that had no name because both orders refused to acknowledge it existed. Myself, whatever that means. Using the Force the way it's meant to be used. Not for a code, not for philosophy. For people. For protecting what matters. Ahsoka smiles. That's the most Skywalker answer I've ever heard. And the smartest. Your father would be proud. A proximity alarm sounds. Subtle. Not an attack, just a ship arriving. The command center will handle it. But something about the signature makes Luke's instincts scream. He runs to the viewport, sees a ship emerging from hyperspace. Not Rebel, not Imperial, something else. A personal transport, modified. Sleek. The ship broadcasts an identification code. One Luke recognizes, one that shouldn't exist. Quinlan Vos, the Jedi who escaped with Vader's intelligence, who disappeared after delivering it to the rebellion, who's been in deep cover for 6 months. Hunting. Luke runs from the medical bay, through corridors, to the hangar where Quinlan's ship is docking. Ahsoka follows. They arrive as the ramp extends. Quinlan descends. He looks worse than before. Gaunt, exhausted, his dreadlocks are singed. His robes are shredded. But he's alive, conscious, and he's not alone. Behind him, supported by 2 rebel soldiers, is a figure in medical restraints. Hooded, bound, unconscious. Luke's hand goes to his lightsaber. He knows that presence, felt it in nightmares for 6 months. Quinlan sees his expression, nods. We found him, 3 weeks ago, on Exegol, in a cloning facility beneath the surface. He survived Mustafar, barely. His body was broken. He was growing a new one, clone vessel, trying to transfer his consciousness before the original died. The soldiers remove the hood, reveal Palpatine's face, withered, scarred, alive but comatose. The Emperor's yellow eyes are closed. His breathing is assisted by medical equipment. He's sedated, Quinlan continues, kept unconscious. We destroyed the cloning lab, killed his medical staff. This is what remains, the last piece of Darth Sidious. Luke stares at the Emperor, the being who orchestrated his mother's death, who turned his father into a weapon, who ruled the galaxy through fear for 2 decades. All of it brought to this, an unconscious old man in restraints, helpless, defeated. What do we do with him? Luke asks. Mon Mothma arrives. Flanked by guards, she looks at Palpatine with an expression that cycles through horror, relief, and grim determination. We hold him. Try him. Public trial, let the galaxy see what he was, what the Empire was built on. Then, we execute him according to law. Not in darkness, in daylight, with witnesses. And if he wakes up during the trial, uses the Force to escape, then you stop him. She looks at Luke, at Ahsoka, at Quinlan. You 3 are the strongest Force users we have. You contain him, ensure he faces justice. The Emperor is transferred to a detention cell. Triple security, Force dampening fields, guards rotated every 4 hours to prevent corruption, every precaution possible. Luke watches them take him away, feels no satisfaction, no triumph, just exhaustion. The war isn't over, won't be over until Palpatine is tried and executed and the galaxy knows he's truly dead. But it's close. Closer than it's been in decades. 3 months later, the trial takes place on Chandrila. Neutral ground, Mon Mothma's homeworld, broadcast across every system with working holonet. Billions watching as the Emperor faces testimony from survivors, from slaves, from planets he subjugated, from Jedi who survived the Purge. Palpatine remains sedated throughout, unconscious in his restraints, never speaking, never defending himself. The charges are read, the evidence is presented, the verdict is unanimous. Death. Luke doesn't attend the execution, can't watch another person die, even this person, even the monster responsible for everything. Instead, he stands in the medical bay, beside his father's body. The preservation is held. Anakin looks exactly as he did on Mustafar, peaceful, free. Leia enters. She knows now, learned the truth 3 weeks ago, reacted exactly as Luke feared. Rage, denial, horror that Darth Vader's blood runs through her veins. But she came, eventually, stood beside Luke and looked at their father's body, tried to reconcile the monster with the man who died saving his son. They executed him an hour ago, she says. Her voice is neutral, controlled, lethal injection, quick, clean, more mercy than he deserved. It's finished then. The Emperor is dead. The Empire is fractured. The rebellion won. But finished? I don't know if this ever finishes. Luke looks at his sister, at Padmé's features reflected in her face, at their mother's strength and intelligence and refusal to accept defeat. We should bury him. Our father, not here. Somewhere that meant something to him. To who he was before Mustafar. Where? Naboo, where he met our mother, where they fell in love, where he was happy, before everything went wrong. Leia considers. Her feelings about Anakin are complicated. Tangled. She hates what he did, understands why he did it, mourns the person he might have been. All right, Naboo, a private ceremony, no publicity, no Senate observers. Just us, and maybe Ahsoka. She knew him before. The funeral takes place in Naboo's lake country, the same place where Anakin and Padme married in secret, where they spent their last moments of happiness before the Clone Wars consumed everything. Luke and Leia stand beside the grave. Ahsoka performs the ceremony. Not Jedi rites, not Sith, something simpler, words about a man who fell and tried to rise, who failed and tried again, who died protecting what mattered. They burn the body, return it to the Force. The ashes scatter over the lake, disappear into water that reflects the sunset. Luke feels his father's presence fade. Not dying, just transitioning, becoming one with the Force the way Obi-Wan did. The way Yoda will eventually. At peace. Finally. Leia takes his hand, squeezes. She's still processing, still grieving a father she never knew, but she's here. Present. Trying. What will you do now? She asks. The war is over. Palpatine is dead. You could go anywhere, do anything. Luke looks at the lake, at the place where his parents loved each other before darkness intervened. I'm going to rebuild. Not the Jedi Order, something new. A place where Force users can learn without rigid codes, where light and dark aren't treated as absolutes, where balance means accepting both. That's ambitious, dangerous. The Senate won't approve. They'll see it as creating another Sith Academy. Then, I'll do it without Senate approval, without permission. The Force doesn't belong to politicians. It belongs to everyone who can touch it. Leia smiles. It's Padme's smile. Stubborn, determined, ready to fight every authority that says something is impossible. You're definitely his son. That's exactly what Anakin Skywalker would say. Is that good or bad? Both. Same as everything else. They leave the gravesite as the sun sets. Behind them, the lake is still, peaceful. The ashes of Anakin Skywalker rest in the water, buried in the place where love began and hope survived. Years later, Luke's academy occupies a forgotten moon in the unknown regions. 12 students, all Force-sensitive, all refugees from the collapsed Empire or the fragmented rebellion, all learning to use their abilities without the restrictions that destroyed the old Jedi. He teaches them what his father taught him: forms for combat, philosophy for survival, the understanding that the Force is a tool, not a religion, not a master, something to be used with wisdom and restraint and awareness of consequences. Leia visits occasionally, between Senate sessions and diplomatic missions and the endless work of rebuilding galactic government. She doesn't train, doesn't use the Force, but she supports what Luke is building, ensures the New Republic doesn't interfere. Ahsoka stays, teaches alongside Luke, shares stories about Anakin and Obi-Wan and the Clone Wars, keeps the history alive so it isn't forgotten or whitewashed. One evening, Luke stands on the Academy's observation deck, looking at the stars, feeling the Force flow around him. Light and dark in constant balance, neither dominating, neither eliminated. He senses a presence, familiar, impossible. His father's voice, not audible, not spoken, just there, in the Force, in the space between thoughts. You did well, Luke, better than I ever could. You learned from my failures, built something I never imagined. Luke doesn't respond aloud, just sends his thoughts into the Force, knowing somehow his father will receive them. I learned from your choices, both the wrong ones and the right ones. You showed me what happens when you let fear control you, and what happens when you choose love instead. The dark side will always tempt you. It tempted me, destroyed me. Don't make my mistakes. I won't, but I won't make the Jedi's mistakes either. I'll find my own path, the way you found yours at the end. Silence, then warmth. Approval, the feeling of a father proud of his son. May the Force be with you, Luke, and with you, Father. The presence fades, returns to the cosmic Force, to whatever existence awaits those who transcend physical death. Luke remains on the observation deck, watching the stars, knowing his father's legacy isn't the Empire or the destruction or the decades of evil. It's this: the choice to change, the refusal to accept that darkness is permanent, the understanding that redemption isn't about erasing the past, it's about choosing better in the present. Anakin Skywalker fell further than most beings could survive. became something terrible, caused suffering that can never be undone. But he also rose, chose his son over power, died free rather than live enslaved. And that choice echoes through the Force, through the Academy, through Luke and Leia, and everyone who learns that falling doesn't mean staying down. The Skywalker legacy isn't darkness, it's the refusal to let darkness win. Luke turns from the viewport, returns to his students, returns to teaching, building, creating a future where Force users can exist without destroying themselves or others. The galaxy is healing, slowly, imperfectly, but healing. And in the Force, Anakin Skywalker watches his children build the world he died to make possible. Balance, hope, freedom, the Chosen One's prophecy fulfilled, not through destruction, through love. The war is over. The legacy begins. Let us know what you'd like to see next. The end.